You can leave. Oh, we're live.
We're live. Just in time for Steph to leave.
Nah.
Hello, everyone. How are ya?
How's everybody doing?
Hi, everybody. So
Well, this is great because we thought we were going to have to vamp for a while and give some time for Steph to get home, but she's here. Well, sort of. She's in the house.
Robert
I can
Hoffman
hear you on clean feed, yes. I can hear you on clean
Germany.
feed. What's that?
Robert Hoffman has joined us from Germany.
Oh.
Hello, Robert.
Is it Robert or Bob? Is it Bob Hoffman? Just wondering.
Do they call you the Hoff? Robert?
The Hoff.
The Hoff, yes. I've met the Hoff twice.
The Hoff?
Yeah, the Hoff.
Who's the Hoff?
The Hoff.
I don't know
I
who
can't
that is.
remember his name. He's a
Knight Rider.
He's an actor out of Baywatch or something, wasn't he?
Oh, I've never heard anybody refer to him as the Hoff.
I thought he referred to himself as the
Really?
Hoff all the time.
Oh, really? One of those guys.
Well, he was handing out signed photographs to all the crew, and it definitely said the Hoff.
There you go.
Huh. Okay. Well, very
He was heading
good.
off down to Johannesburg or South Africa to do some kind of a TV program. So I took him down, and it obviously wasn't very long because after a 48-hour layover, I took him home again.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, he was the reason why I always watched, what was the name of that show with the bathing suits? Baywatch. No, that was not the reason why. I watched it for for other reasons.
The Hong Kong knockoff.
I would hope it's for other reasons.
Yeah, the red bathing suits. I love that style.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We know him as the Hoff Down Under.
Yeah. He was sober on the way down. He was not sober on the way home. It's a good job it was a night flight, and he eventually fell unconscious.
David Hasselhoff.
That's what it was.
The Hoff. That's funny. I've never heard him referred to as that.
What?
Or David Hasselhoff referred to as the Hoff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I know. I'm the only one that hasn't. Everybody else
Get with
has.
the program, Jeff.
I know. It's just like, even Liz knew, she's telling me.
I thought everybody knew. That's just like how you refer to him because his name is way too long. He's just the Hoff.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
talking of hats, which we weren't, but how come you two are missing? You didn't get the memo?
No, I didn't see
Steph
any
and I got
memo.
the memo.
No memo.
Yeah,
I have an
there
extra
was,
one. You just have to come here to get it. Sorry.
There was no
We
memo.
get our hats on and post.
Liz, are you wearing a hat?
Yes. Yeah,
She's
sure.
lying.
I see her hat.
She's lying.
We can't see her head from here up, so it's completely...
Yeah, there's a reason why she's angled the camera. Yeah, I'm wearing a hat too.
Yeah, I got my hat on too.
I love it.
You guys.
I've also got my stocking.
Oh, Mike. Lake Norman.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
just
know what?
replied to him. I said, darn it, Mike, I thought we talked about that. Stop flushing stuff our way.
So
Just because we're us poor downstreamers here, we got to deal with all the refuse from...
I can't believe I'm going to tell you this, Steph, but can you turn the gain down a little bit on your mic? Yeah.
Hold on.
It's like it's almost like over modulating a little
Oh,
bit.
I don't know why that happens.
I don't know. It's probably the housekeepers.
Probably. They haven't been here in a while, but yeah.
Oh, but we'll just blame it on them.
How's that? Better?
Yeah, that's better. Now,
Sorry. Breaking things too.
yeah. I don't know how it sounds for everybody in YouTube, but why don't we get a sound check from everybody? Kind of Micah, he's our sound engineer.
Yeah, he'll let us know if
Remote.
it sucks.
Okay.
Just tell us if
There's
it
Ian.
sucks.
Hey, Ian.
I guess we must be doing this at a good time of day for Down Under.
Must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of down underers. underwears.
You got Ian and Ray Davis. Ray, hope you're feeling better.
Hey, there's Ray.
Ray.
Hey, Ray, what's
Yeah,
up?
well, nice to see you back home, Ray.
Okay, Ian, strength 5. That's great. But who is that for exactly? We're trying to get a idea of how everybody is
Yes.
in comparison to
Yes.
everybody else.
Exactly.
Well, while you're thinking about it, I'm going to open my my Christmas cards that finally arrived. The ones that I
Okay, well, why don't you do that? Since you're
Very
completely
nice.
bored with what we're doing here.
I am. I'm just trying to multitask as much as possible. This was why it's already December 16th, and I have not sent any Christmas cards yet. So you're all going to get yours late.
Well, I have not sent
This is the
any, and
only
I
thing-
will not send any.
This is the only thing I've done so far to prepare for Christmas, other than put up my fake tree that takes about 30 minutes.
Main man Micah wants to hear me and Rick speak. So this is me. What would you like me to do? A soliloquy or perhaps a speech from Shakespeare? Or
Macbeth.
something?
There you go. Do Macbeth. In an American
Be or
accent.
not to be? That is the question.
American
Whether it is
accent.
nobler to sling the arrows or stab the kings.
Please
All right, Romeo and
not.
Juliet.
There you go.
Okay.
And now we'll just wait a few seconds, and then Micah will give us the result of that.
By the way, I actually managed to do Greg a favour.
Why
Today?
do Christmas cards need to come bubble wrapped?
I don't know. These are extra fancy Christmas cards.
They're very fragile.
They
they're
better
the
be
China
well
ones.
wrapped
They're
for how much
made
I
out of
spent on these
glass.
stupid things. I don't know why Christmas cards have to be so expensive. Oh, these are nice though. They're pretty.
Okay,
Oh,
Nick is a bit
and-
weak. Well, we can't do anything about... Oh, you
and
mean
Rick-
his volume? Okay.
And Rick is a bit soft. Sorry.
Yeah, well, sorry. It's kind of unfortunate.
Well,
I mean,
I can
I did
help
ask him for
myself.
brutal honesty, and that's apparently what he
yeah.
was.
And I guess I'm a bit hard.
I think they make a blue pill for that, but yeah.
Oh, look, it came with a coloring book, apparently.
Oh,
It is
nice.
Oh,
That's nice.
Okay, Ray says we all sound fine, but he's from way down under, so, who
It's
knows what
distorted.
goes on with our voices.
Okay,
by the time
is that an improvement? I seem to be going to the red a bit, but is that an improvement?
Sounds good to me.
And I got a card thanking me for ordering cards.
Oh, that was loud and clear.
Yeah, that was off scale. That was off scale.
That was 5 by 5.
Sorry, I trod all over you with my burping.
That was 11 by 11.
Steph.
Well,
Funny
I was
enough,
just going to
Steph is
counter it.
quite quiet to me.
Yeah, we
Oh, I was
can't
too
use
loud.
There's your title, Weak and Soft.
it. Maybe bump yours back up again, stuff.
Okay. Back
Just a
up.
little bit.
A
though,
little bit?
Not too
just
much,
a
yeah.
touch. Just a smidgen.
When you get a little over exuberant, it just starts distorting.
Steph,
Oh.
over exuberant?
Yeah, that's because we were sharing the same volume control. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
I
I thought these were going to come I don't have to do extra work. The labels come separate from the envelope. What am I even paying for here?
Well,
Probably
I
I've
would
misread
assume
it.
you'd have paid them all to be
thought-
separately addressed and have your little comments read with love from.
Exactly. I was going to say that. It was,
Everything
Well, no,
done.
I get the cards pre-printed, so I don't have to write anything on them because that takes time. So you
Yeah.
just get
Oh,
some
okay.
pictures and happy holidays greetings. That's,
I mean, if they come bubble wrapped, you might as well have the postage on it too.
I mean,
I once paid for a guy to fill out all my Christmas cards for
Oh,
me.
thank you.
They went over to China. When they came back, I couldn't read it because it was all just Chinese scribble. I mean, I told him what to write.
well, presumably he wrote it in
Did you-
Chinese.
Yeah.
Did you
I'll never
specify
know.
you wanted it in English? No. That's your fault.
Carl wants to know how to fast forward to the start of the show. Carl, you've reached the start of the show. Welcome,
Absolutely.
Which Carl is asking that?
Carl Carlson.
Carl Carlson? This is live, Carl.
This is life. This is what life is. It's
Yeah.
a great disappointment.
And
We're
not
hoping
terrible disappointment.
we're hoping that Carl is using sarcasm here. If not, you're confused, very confused.
I'm gonna go with sarcasm.
Yeah, we're gonna go
Right.
Yeah, me too.
for your sake.
The other half
sarcasm.
of my invisible beer.
Ooh, invisible IPA. That's very
Yes.
festive IPA.
It is.
Is it in a
actually.
green can? It's Goose Island, isn't it?
could
Oh,
be.
no. Yeah, it's Goose Island. That's why.
Yeah.
It's the same color as your
She
green
does
screen.
know her beers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course I do. That's a great IPA, and they serve it on the airline that I have to fly with most frequently out of Charlotte.
All right. I made it available to all the 500ers at Farnborough.
What was
and
that?
they barely drank it.
Goose Island IPA?
Yeah, which made me worry a bit about their taste. So
Carlos is not yet in Atlanta. He's got another 2 hours and 45 minutes-ish in his flight. But we'll accept the apologies in advance, Neville.
Yes, we will. But I need to apologize for completely forgetting about the PTUK Christmas special thing.
Oh, no. He didn't make it?
No?
Oh.
Did you?
No, but I told him.
I was going to say, I hope you didn't because you didn't notice I wasn't there.
I held up our end.
Excellent.
I know. You're hurting my feelings even more than normal.
I did
So
tell
those-
Carlos that I was unavailable, unfortunately, that day.
So I
What day
can
was it?
attest that
Saturday.
those little blue pills work because I did hold up my end.
So.
Alrighty then, yes. Well, I'm recording.
Oh,
I don't know if anybody else is.
no.
Hey, I actually updated the damn thing the other day.
What? The
Are you on
audio hijack?
3
Yeah.
weeks? 3 or 4 weeks?
Where did my audio hijack go?
I'm recording.
Search. Audio hijack. Yes, that one. Actually, I went to Goose Island, one of their breweries in Chicago, just a few weeks ago when I was there.
Very
We
cool.
had all kinds of good beers.
What company
Oh.
bought out Goose Island?
InBev. No, yeah,
InBev? Okay.
I think. They buy out everybody, so let's just assume that. Oh, Audio Hijack would like to install a free update.
What?
Skip for now.
Yes.
No way.
I can't
They
believe
never
it,
do
Steph.
that.
Really?
It never
I'm recording.
happens. Are you?
Maybe.
As well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully we won't need any of them, but just in case. All right, gang. Are you all ready?
Yeah, sure.
You
Maybe.
bet.
Oh, just
so-
for your info there, I did add something between O1A and O1B, Liz. I don't know if you
A1A?
noticed.
Sorry.
So it's 01A1.
Oh, that's like sounds like a steak sauce.
Not at all complicated.
Making me hungry over here.
Do you know something about the
actually,
Dewey Decimal System that I don't?
Yes. Wait, the rest of us
I'm
have
not
forgotten
using
how to
that
use
system.
it because it's archaic and no one.
I'm using the Dewey Jeff system.
Excellent. Hey, I need like 2 more seconds. I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
All right.
The Dewey Jeff System, isn't that like one of the Donald Ducks?
Oh, Liz is saying she's using the Huey, Dewey, Louie?
Yes.
Huey,
That's them.
Louie, and Dewey.
System.
Yeah.
Actually, I was listening to a podcast about the Dewey Decimal System the other day.
Wow, you must really be bored.
Well, no, it just came in at the end of like 99% Invisible or one of those. So it was rather good, actually. About this bloke who invented the system and what a horrible man he was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For inventing the system or just horrible in general?
Well, a bit of both, really.
Okay. Okay. Liz says she's ready to go, so that means that we're going to start.
Roger.
And remember, Liz, you'll have to pop yourself in the thing when during the intro. Okay. I don't have any music for you though. Okay. Yeah, I can add it in post for reals. All right, here we go. We'll call it 4:45.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 501.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Lake Burton, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 16th of December, 2021.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture right and it's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, a Russian airline crew hailed as heroes flew their plane for 5 hours with severe icing. British investigators wonder if a crew's lack of flying during the pandemic caused a serious go-around incident. More news, your feedback, and today's plane hail flying over Christmas. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 501 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins in
New York City!
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, GA, and joining me from her lakeside studio in Dr. Skydiver, Marathon Runner, Strength Training Junkie, IPA Connoisseur, and Commercial Multi-Engine Instrument Rated Backstabbing Jumper Dumper, Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff, and hey, everybody else. Really looking forward to our first post-500th episode of all time. Many
Of all time. I love it.
Wasn't sure where I was going with that, but I don't know.
I know, I love
it. That.
All right, and also joining us from his hotel studio in Ontario, California. He's a world traveler, airplane mechanic, Breitling, cognoscenti, fitness hound, and international air freight captain. It's Captain Rick.
Hey, everybody. Happy to see everyone here again. It's been a little while. Walked out about 500, but I'm here. Looking for this.
We've already forgotten all about it. And from his studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
Professional photographer, former RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas. Getting in the spirit here. So, I'm looking forward to another great show in December.
Excellent. And joining us from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer-director. It's Liz Pyper.
Hi, everybody.
All right. Great to see you, Liz. Hey, what do you think about doing some news? Some aviation kind of news. Let's do it.
Please.
Stand by for news.
All right, the first one in the news notebook is this from aviationherald.com. Accident, Transnorthern DC-3 Sierra, or S, I'm not sure, at Anchorage on December 8th, 2021. Engine failure and gear up landing. Let's see. Oh, there was a video. I was just telling Liz before we started the recording that I didn't think we had any videos to play out, but I was wrong. There it is, right there in front of me. Anyway, I'm going to read about it in Aviation Herald. Transnorthern Aviation Douglas DC-3, a C-117 Skytrain, registration November 28 Tango November, performing freight flight 123 from Anchorage, Alaska to Kodiak, Alaska, with two crew, was in the initial climb out of Anchorage's runway 7 left when the crew declared an emergency due to the failure of the right-hand engine. Initially requested to return to runway 7 left and requesting left turns only, but then decided to divert to Anchorage's Merrill Field, located 4 nautical miles to the northeast of Anchorage's International Airport. After reaching a maximum altitude of about 900 feet, the aircraft performed a gear-up landing on Merrill's runway 7, keeping the left wing up and engine operating as long as possible. The crew was able to bring the aircraft to a stop on the runway. There were no injuries. The aircraft sustained substantial damage. The NTSB reported the aircraft experienced a loss of engine power shortly after takeoff and made an emergency landing at Merrill. Okay, we knew that. There were no injuries, and an investigation has been opened. The aircraft was recovered from the runway by a crane, and the runway was returned to surface about 6 hours, 15 minutes past their landing. And the weather there showing not bad, 9,000 foot ceiling, 9,000 broken, a little chilly. Of course, it's Alaska, minus 10. Winds were light, so weather was really not any factor as far as I can see there. And I don't know if you're showing some of the slides yet, Liz, but we have a couple of pictures. Okay, you did? All right. I wasn't watching that, so good. Anyway, what do you think? Rick, you're probably among the crew here that has flown into Anchorage the most. And Merrill Field, it's been so long since I've been up there. That's I don't remember where all that is. It says 4 nautical miles to the northeast, so it's pretty much a straight shot off of taking off from 7 left.
Yeah, it's just up the road. And the thing with Anchorage is that you have obviously Ted Stevens, big international airport with loads of it's 747 country up there. It's heavy country up there, and then you have the highest concentration of G8 traffic that I've ever seen. So because you have the obviously Merrill, and then you have the water runways right off of Ted Stevens as well. So there's airplanes up there everywhere all the time. These guys handle this just beautifully, and the fact that they kept that left wing up, made only left turns. That's when one of the things they teach you on your initial multi-engine training is always turn into the good engine. I remember my instructor used to say, race the dead, as and he was referring to racing the dead engine up. Never turn into the bad engine. And these guys landed. It's just and I think I spoke to John Jester. He was flying out of Anchorage that day, and he saw the plane take off. Yeah, and these DC-3s, man, these things are built like trucks. The fact that they're probably gonna just polish it up and keep her going.
It'll buff out.
Absolutely. And I can just imagine these guys, true aviators, after this whole thing happens, giving their statements, doing their paperwork, and then just going on down to F Street Station and having a couple of beers and talking about it. So absolutely, my glass up to them. Cheers, gentlemen.
Absolutely,
well
cheers.
Done. Well
Very
done.
good. Here, let me. I don't know if you heard that sound effect, but
we heard it. Yep.
Oh, okay. Here's another one.
Absolutely.
I know. We never do that here, Liz.
I had a funny feeling the captain was a lady. Not that it matters.
Maybe.
Why did you have a funny feeling?
I actually don't know.
I wouldn't mind getting a funny feeling.
Okay.
But where exactly are you seeing this? Are you reading something
Oh, is
else
it on a different
between the
it's,
lines?
It's just the stuff I read earlier. That's all.
Oh,
I
okay.
had a funny
Really?
feeling
Very, very possible.
Okay. Well, maybe because you think her name is Meryl?
It could have been. I don't know.
No, just kidding.
I can't remember now. I love that you pointed out that absolutely wonderful thing they did, turning into the live engine all the time. They're obviously thinking ahead and judging their distance in. It's even if they decided short finals, they could have got the gear down. It's no easy task in a DC-3, having sat in C-47. With Nick and asked him about how you raise the gear. It's it's definitely not a particularly simple process. It's not like us in modern airliners.
Not like
flick
just
of a
the
lever. Yeah, exactly. It's not like that at all. So I think they did a fine job. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't the wheels of the DC-3 slightly protrude below the cowlings anyway?
They do, and I believe there's a system where there's I don't what the heck was it? I think there was a motor, some kind of electric motor that you can position the prop in a certain way to keep it from hitting the ground when you land with the gear slightly protruding out.
I think it's a system of squirrels and hamsters.
There you go. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's exactly it.
The other thing I
Just
remember
runs on the
about
wheel.
them was that
Keeps
So-
squirrels.
Yeah, so I do believe they have that. They actually turn the prop around and get it out of the way so that when the airplane lands, the prop doesn't
It's out
touch
of
the
the-
ground.
yeah.
And the fact that they decided to divert to Merrill tells me that perhaps their energy state wasn't exactly where they wanted it to be. So I think the fact that they left the landing gear up was a good idea, because you put the
Right.
gear down, you got those bags hanging
Drag.
out, and it's not exactly aerodynamic. So
They said the highest altitude reach was 900
900
feet.
900 feet.
That's
Yeah,
very
it wasn't-
low to
It's
go
not
over
conforming
town.
well.
Yeah,
That's
I,
true.
you know, the one time went to Anchorage, I can kind of remember where everything is in position. But yeah, that would get your attention seeing that.
Yeah, when I read this earlier, I thought the problem was that the dead engine didn't feather, the prop didn't feather fully,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
would have given them
Yep.
more drag than they
could
would
be.
normally have
Exactly.
expected.
Exactly.
So
No, well,
anyway,
well
good
done.
job.
Yeah, definitely good job. And
Walked
you
away
know,
from it. Nice one.
again, cheers from the APG crew
Absolutely.
for great
Yeah,
airmanship.
absolutely.
Good job.
Nice.
All right.
Done.
Hey, I just threw this thing in at the last minute. I think I clipped this about a week ago, reading the Airline Pilots Association International issued an ALPA safety alert, and it deals with something that we have talked about on earlier episodes regarding the 5G implementation in the cell phone world. Earlier this year, the U.S. Federal Communications Commission. Hang on, let me get something I can read it a little bit larger. Where is that? 16 inches, huh? Impressive. Okay. Earlier this year, the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, awarded the mobile wireless industry radio spectrum to operate 5G transmissions in the C-band, or 3.7 to 3.98 gigahertz, adjacent to the spectrum used by radar altimeters. What could go wrong? This approval was made despite the aviation industry informing the FCC since 2018 of the need to ensure that radar altimeters are protected from 5G interference. Canada has also approved 5G in the C-band, but with restrictions against using C-band in the vicinity of 26 airports and other measures to ensure aviation safety. Radar altimeter interference from 5G signals can take the form of loss of radar altitude information, or worse, incorrect radar altitude information unknowingly being generated. There have been fatal accidents associated with incorrect radar altitude, most recently Turkish Airlines Flight 1951 in Amsterdam in 2009. I believe that was a 737.
There's an 800, yep.
Altitude information derived from radar altimeters has been deeply integrated into aircraft systems and automation, with the latest aircraft using it to change aircraft handling qualities and prepare systems such as ground spoilers and thrust reversers for deployment prior to touchdown. This is in addition to radio altimeter used for Autoland and in Category 2, Category 3, and required navigation performance approaches. On November 2nd, 2021, the Federal Aviation Administration issued a special airworthiness information bulletin, and we covered that one on our show, alerting operators to the potential for severe restrictions in flight operations to ensure safety. And then on December 7th, most recently, the FAA also issued an airworthiness directive, an AD, intended to cover all transport category aircraft at the following web link, and we'll have that in the show notes if you want to go to that link. The AD requires the following airplane manual, flight manual, AFM revision that prohibits the following operations in the presence of possible 5G interference. And there's a table here. When operating in U.S. airspace, the following operations requiring radio altimeter are prohibited in the presence of 5G C-band wireless broadband interference as identified by NOTAM, which is notices to air emissions, now a new change. Let's see. Instrument landing system, instrument approach procedures, SA Cat 1, SA Cat 2, Cat 2, and Cat 3 approaches. Required navigation performance procedures with authorization required, RMP, ARIAP. Automatic landing operations, manual flight control guidance system operations to landing and head-up display HUD to touchdown operations, and use of Enhanced Flight Vision System, EFVS, to touchdown under 14 CFR 91.176 alpha. So anyway, it is just iterating here that it's critical for pilots to be aware of and comply with any restrictions imposed via this airworthiness directive and or NOTAM by safety regulators, including the FAA and Transport Canada. Pilots should also be aware that flight planning and advanced preparation will be critical to ensure that should an alternate airport be required, the weather minimums are available, instrument approach procedures can be utilized. In other words, you can't rely on a low visibility approach, to use as an alternate.
So I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Where are they going to bury that in the NOTAM so that you can not easily find it?
It's right below the birds are in the vicinity,
of the airport.
Exactly.
And Also,
on page 47.
This is something that's been brought to the FAA was bringing this to the attention of the SEC since 2018. That's 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years.
They've been ignoring them for that long.
And decided just to go ahead anyway. Cool.
Yeah, because
I guess that's not really a question. That's just a make sure I got that right.
Yeah, you got it right, Steph.
While you're on the phone, Steph, what's the medical opinion of the frequency of radio altimeters causing pandemics? I'm just curious. How come...
research is ongoing.
Okay, yes.
We're in like phase 0.1 clinical trials right now.
There you go. That's good. I was just wondering because it works in the similar frequency. So all these G5 pandemic problems.
I don't know. I just think it's going to take something going wrong. Because
Yeah.
how these
Let's
things
just
go.
forge ahead and see how it
It's
goes.
always-
And
yeah.
as soon as we have an accident or an
always-
incident or a very serious near incident, then we'll maybe do something about
all
it.
these things are very, very reactive.
So
I
let me just take
can't.
my hat off to Canada while we can for being proactive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I tell you, it's
Those
and I
Canadians.
can't and I
We love Canada.
I remember talking about this little because when I found out about it, I posted something on Twitter about it, and I just thought that this is kind of interesting because it's the first time that you can actually see, out in the open, two lobbies going at it. So you got the telecom, big money, and then you have aviation and the airlines, and it's going to see. This is basically going to be a battle to see who wins that in the end. And I just can't believe that they're putting safety.
Cell phones.
Which one do you think is going to win?
But hey, on the plus side, all those TikTok influencers are gonna be able to get their stuff up a lot quicker. So
They'll be right at the scene of the crash.
My
exactly.
phone doesn't. My work phone has 5G capability. My regular phone does.
I was going to say I'm only 4G, so
I got
it wasn't my
LTE.
fault.
No. And then I got, a bunch of people started commenting on that thing, saying, "Well, how many Cat 3 approaches have you flown?" And there's people, and it really depends on where you fly, the type of operation that you're a part of, and types of airports that you fly in and out of all the time. And some of us have flown a lot more than others, and the fact that you haven't flown as many, I've done, what. I lost count after 30, and I've done just on the last 2 years that I've been back on the 7.6. I've done 3, and so it kind of depends. It's not that it's a system that's there to be used when conditions are below optimum, and it's a system that works. And for the system to work, all the components of that system need to be where they need to be for the system to work properly. You're literally putting your life, the life of your passengers, in the hands of this entire system, and one very important, critical, just part of this system is being compromised over.
It doesn't work unless the airplane knows how far above the ground it is.
Exactly right. And I just don't understand. I hope nothing bad happens, because this is just a recipe for disaster.
I was thinking about this the other day when I flew into Sacramento. So obviously just passenger on that flight, and I'm looking out the windows and there was very, very dense, low fog. But I was thinking about this particular issue and problem because it was, to me, it looked lower than Cat 1 minimum, certainly. So I wouldn't be surprised if. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to sensationalize it here at the
No.
APG.
There you go. But I mean, as the this alert pointed out, that accident in Amsterdam was because of a faulty radio altimeter.
Well,
the
things that led up to the improperly reacting properly to the situation. Yeah.
It was obviously a chain of event, and they were being their little the vectoring wasn't the best. They were vectored high on the glide slope. They had to bring the power back and all that, and then they didn't know until the very end, and that's true. Yeah. But having to, and then I can't imagine what dispatchers are going to have to deal with now when they have to, you have, Cat 2, Cat 3 type weather being forecast at a certain airport.
Figuring out your alternates and everything.
Yeah,
else.
and then and what if the entire, because like it happens down here in Southern California all the time. You have one airport socked in, and they're all socked in, and then your nearest alternate is 35 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour away. So does that mean that you're going to have to load up extra fuel for that and leave cargo behind? And so it's just going to be a tug of war here until they figure it out finally. But I hope that this whole thing gets figured out, because there's it really does have the potential for being something very bad. So.
Oh, and I think that, Nick, you had mentioned on an earlier episode when we were talking about 5G, it is only the towers that are the problem, not the individual phones that have the 5G capability. So
it's the signal being broadcast, correct?
Yeah.
It's not the receivers,
right.
Which is the phone.
Doesn't the phone broadcast 5G?
Apparently not. Or if it does, it's not something that's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. I was, in my research, I kind of stumbled on that. Anyway. Yeah, that's a dangerous thing when I start doing my own research. All right, let's continue on then with this next item. Okay, it's hard for me to read this this headline, but I'm going to do it. This is from avweb.com. Hero pilots keep out-of-control plane from crashing for 5 hours.
Sounds like my job every weekend.
Hero doctor keeps clinic from crashing for 5 hours. Okay, so this article from AvWeb, I'll read a little bit of it before I switch to the Aviation Herald. All's well that ends well, but Russian carrier S7 Airlines flight for 5220. I added a couple of letters and numbers there. S7 Airlines flight. Let me take another swig of my Celebration Ale.
A little lubrication there. There you go.
Probably too much. All right.
More beverage, more better? No?
Yeah. Here, let me read a little bit of Shimmy Damper.
Please do.
Anyway, Russian, Liz is saying, Shimmy Damper alert. Russian carrier S7 Airlines Flight 5220 certainly got off to a terrifying start, perhaps due to a counterfeit de-icing fluid. That's not true. Shortly after takeoff from Magadan Airport, just north of the Sea of Okhotsk, far eastern Russia. Okhotsk? I don't know. What do you think? Anybody have a better pronunciation?
Okhotsk.
Okhotsk.
I don't know. I'm from
I do like
Midwest.
that. Yeah.
So-
You're from some part of Russia, aren't you?
Yes.
The Airbus A321neo with 199 passengers and 7 crew members on board began to gyrate wildly. Woo! Got my attention.
Party.
The crew declared an emergency due to airframe icing, according to a flight data recorder readout posted on social media, not yet confirmed to be from Flight 5220. The Airbus crew disconnected the autopilot shortly after takeoff. Actually, I think it disconnected on its own. After a slight descent that began about 5 minutes after reaching an altitude of 8,784 feet, the single-aisle airliner spent the next 7 minutes in chaos as multiple flight parameters showed rapid oscillations for about 7 minutes, according to a narrative posted on Catherine's report. The pitch attitude oscillated between minus 23.9 degrees and plus 43.6 degrees, being the most extreme values reached. In that period, the aircraft rolled left and right, with the extreme values being plus 49.8 and minus 91.1 degrees.
90-degree turn.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Wow.
Also, here, let me throw this in. The aircraft was rapidly climbing from 4,699 feet to 14,351 feet, then quickly descending to 5,084 feet. From then on, altitude remained difficult to control, read the narrative, with the aircraft climbing back up to 13,748 feet and descending to 4,556 feet at an average rate of about 1,000 feet per minute. Now, that's not bad. 1,000 feet per minute is not unusual. Anyway, there were reports that perhaps the de-icing fluids used were somehow counterfeit. But I'm going to skip this next article and just go down to the Aviation Herald, which tends to be a little bit more accurate than all the other news
Or at least less
reports.
sensational.
Yes, less sensational for sure.
Have they ever used the word gyrating in one of their
Well, Simon may have in a different context.
in different contexts, not
yeah.
with regards to what the
Yeah.
passengers were doing on the plane?
Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to say that. Let's see. The flight 5220 was climbing out of Magadan's runway 10 when the crew declared mayday due to unreliable airspeed and related problems with the autopilot and autothrust. The aircraft attempted to return to Magadan, but had to abort their approach at about 5,000 feet. They attempted a second time to return, but again needed to go around due to severe icing. The crew subsequently decided to divert to Irkutsk, Russia, where the aircraft landed safely about 4.5 hours after departure. On December 4th, 2021, Rosaviatsia reported following takeoff, the aircraft flew into clouds and into a zone of severe turbulence accompanied by strong icing. As a result, the aircraft got into a difficult spatial position. According to the flight data recorder, the roll angles varied between, we talked about that before. They declared a mayday. They were able to resolve the situation and to divert to an alternate airfield. No injuries reported. Okay, on December 8th, Rosaviatsia released a first safety information stating the aircraft had been de-iced prior to departure in heavy snow. Temperature -9 degrees C, dew point -12, visibility about 750 meters. After takeoff, all three air data systems malfunctioned, resulting in unreliable airspeed. Different airspeeds on each system. The flight controls went into minimum operation mode. The assignment says unclear whether this means direct law. It probably does, I would
I'd
imagine.
imagine so.
The crew decided to return to Magadan. Then the aircraft, however, stalled during the return, prompting the crew to divert to Irkutsk, where the aircraft landed without further incident. The flight crew found frozen fluids in the nose section of the airframe, disrupting the pressure sensors, barrier ice, as well as deposits of rough ice on the leading edges of the wings and radome. I don't know if you've already showed those pictures. Okay. Let's see. On December 9th, Rosaviatsia reported in a safety brief that the aircraft had been de-iced in 2 stages, which is normal in this situation. First with fluid type 1, and secondly with fluid type 4. However, because fluid type 1 is de-icing and type 4 is anti-icing.
Anti-icing, right.
However, this is the one that I think is kind of the crux of the problem here. However, only the wings and stabilizer surfaces were de-iced. The fuselage, which had accumulated a large amount of snow and the heavy snowfall during the 2.5 hours on the ground, had not been de-iced. After the windshield heating had been turned on, the snow melted and water flowed down the front part of the fuselage. Continuous snowfall and melting during taxi in ambient temperatures below freezing caused a layer of frozen ice at the front part of the fuselage, disrupting the airflow of the pitot tubes. Therefore, takeoff with the fuselage surface and engine hoods covered with a thick layer of snow and icing and turbulence conditions posed a real danger to flight safety. No kidding.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That was a fun ride they had, though.
Oh, man. Talking
Whoa.
about a roller coaster.
Definitely.
Literally. Wow. Yeah, this flying in the winter wonderland this time of year isn't something I'm very it's got to be done. But one of the main reasons why I bid Ontario during this time of year is because the most of the flying I do is out to Hawaii. So it's
Well, there's a lot of icing going on there, huh?
Got it. Don't have to deal with a lot of that over there. But I mean, last year I did the bulk of the flying out of Cincinnati during the wintertime, and it's you really are putting your life in the hands of the de-icers, and you're hoping that they're doing a good job. And the on the airliners, with passenger airliners, at least you have the benefit of having windows. Look out the window and seeing whether the wings are de-iced or not. You can do that as well on the 747 and the 777 on the freighters, but not on the 76. 76, the cans, the cargo cans, the ULDs fit very snugly in the fuselage. So there's no way of getting down there and checking your wings. So the best you can do out there is you just poke your head out the window and make sure that it's clear. And so the guys and gals that take care of that kind of work are, we are counting on you. Absolutely.
So, in this case, even if you could see the wings, I don't think that was a
wing was
problem.
clear.
The
Yeah.
fuselage wasn't de-iced, and the whole issue was because of the refreezing of the fluids from the fuselage, flowing down below the
Exactly.
windows all over these very, very critical components called pitot
Tubes
tubes.
and static. And I was going to say, if the conditions being what they were, was it? I mean, obviously they're de-iced, but I would imagine there'd be some kind of quality control of the fluids. I imagine there'd be some kind of cross check somewhere. I don't know. And
Well, it's like you said, you're putting your trust in the skill of whoever is doing the de-icing and anti-icing.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound
Interesting-
like it was an issue with the fluids themselves. I think that counterfeit stuff is a bunch
No,
of
I don't
BS.
think so. I think it was just the
application.
process.
Yeah. The application was insufficient for the conditions and the amount of snow that had accumulated in sensitive areas.
Yeah, and even if you have the right amount of fluid and the right procedure accomplished and all that, when we fly in those type of conditions, we deal with what's called a holdover time. So the type 4 fluid and the anodized fluid, which basically is this very thick fluid that coats the wings, and the way basically that works is that as you accelerate for takeoff, that fluid is going to shear off the wings, stabilizer, and tail, basically giving you a clean airfoil. But the efficacy of the fluid only lasts for so long, and so that after the final application is complete on your aircraft, you make a note of the time. And nowadays we have these applications that have been certified by the FAA and CAA and all the authorities out there, and you put in the type of fluid that it was, and the moment that the atmospheric conditions outside, the weather conditions, and the time at which the final application happened, and then you start this timer, and it'll tell you how long that application is good for. If you exceed that holdover time for the fluid in the current conditions, then you have to go back and get another spray, because then the efficacy of the fluid is not guaranteed if you take off past that holdover time. So. And then you have to keep in mind that and the whole time you probably have your engines going, so you burn fuel, and if holdover time expires, you got to go back and then get resprayed and get refueled, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun flying in the wintertime.
Yes, it is.
This makes me glad that I just fly in daytime VFR conditions. And if we need to de-ice before the start of the day because some frost accumulated, we just pull the plane into the sun and wait.
Yeah, I love it.
Done.
Yeah,
our fancy
not just
system.
pitot probes, of course, down there, guys. They've got 3 angle of attack vanes as well that could have been quite severely affected by this. Now, of course, those pitot probes and vanes have their own internal heaters, which should keep them clear of normal snow and ice accumulation, but this wasn't normal. So they've got a lot of melted slush and ice coming off the fuselage. It should have been all been cleared. It can cope with general conditions in the air, but when you've got sitting there for 2.5 hours accumulating snow, and it had been at times heavy snowfalls, they've got to clear that fuselage. You can't expect to have that amount of freezing snow and ice around those sensitive tubes and instruments, and expect to get away with it. So I'm amazed they survived, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liz says it is very important to watch those
I find
sensitive
it
tubes.
remarkable that they had this, nearly killed themselves, and then flew 4.5 hours. Off to
You know
another-
what? It's fine now. Just keep going.
It probably took them that
Heck
long
outta here.
to stop shaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you okay now? I think so.
Can we land yet?
I'm guessing by then everything had come back. All the
Yeah, it sounds like once they were out
anti-icing
of
equipment, de-icing
the
equipment
severe
had actually
icing.
worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the heaters had eventually freed everything up. But
I don't think so.
what a nightmare for them.
I find it interesting that apparently S-7 pilots are issued G suits. That's
What? Did I miss something?
with that.
I think they're experiencing a lot of G's in their roller coaster
Oh,
ride.
okay,
Well,
I gotcha.
they went over 90 degrees angle of.
Yeah, but you could do that with 0G on that, right?
I don't think that was a 0G.
Probably not.
In this
Yeah.
instance.
climbing to what was
From
it?
5,000 to 14,500,
Yeah.
and then back down to 5. Yeah, that's.
I can do it all in 0G.
I'm just wondering what these hero pilots did in the way of a visual inspection post de-icing. I mean, did they even?
Well,
look out
I
the
mean, what
window?
can you do? How can you see? What could you do here to prevent this from happening? If they didn't do what they were supposed to, or they were expecting the de-icers to do, I mean, would there have been any clues in their instrument systems before they took off that something was amiss? I don't know. I've not flown the Airbus,
Not
so I'm
until
not
you
sure.
have
I don't think so.
Forward
No,
experiences.
there's no real
believe so.
indication. And
They don't have mirrors or
your first
anything?
officer go and stand on the gangway and look at his aeroplane for you, because you know, or perhaps the captain should.
But that's just it. I mean, the personnel that do the de-icing are supposed to do a visual inspection.
Yeah.
And tell you what the condition of and that's one of the things that is passed on to you.
The de-ice torch.
That's one of the things. One of the bits of information that's passed on to you when the Iceman tells you, it gives you all the information of the type of fluid that they use, the time, the mixture, and all that other stuff, and he tells you whether the aircraft's clear or not. Now, I don't know if he's reading off of some script or something, just to say it, but I mean, he's supposed to do an actual visual inspection to make sure that the thing's clear.
Yeah. So this is most of the time when we de-ice, we're not on the gate. We're out somewhere. I mean, how does a crew, especially in an airplane like this, how do you get out and do an
Taxi out to
exterior
a de-ice
inspection?
pad, and you're sitting there.
You can't. You don't. You just have to, as we've said before, in this world of aviation, there's a certain level of trust, and you have to trust that the people that are, trained to do this operation are doing it correctly. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution to this is, other than better training and better communication, perhaps. I don't know.
I agree.
I mean, the crew may have told them just do the wings and tail, and
Maybe.
don't worry about the view. I don't know. I wasn't there. Anyway, I think we should move on to the next item, and that would be this one, 01C. Kalitta Air Boeing 747-400. I'm sure that we have this in here because we knew that Rick was going to be with us today. 747-400 Enroute on November 29th, 2021, dropped a panel. Not the first time that's happened, and probably not going to be the last. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. Yeah, depends on what the panel is. Registration November 705 Charlie Kilo, performing flight 53 Alpha from Santiago to Miami, completed a seemingly uneventful flight with a landing in Miami about 8 hours after departure. Post-flight inspection revealed, however, that a panel is missing and has caused substantial damage to right-hand flaps and a hole in the fuselage. Ooh.
Oopsie.
The FAA reported aircraft landed, and post-flight inspection revealed a missing panel. Top pieces of the right flap and the connecting rod were damaged, plus a hole in the fuselage. Let's see. The NTSB has opened an investigation into the accident. The aircraft is still on the ground in Miami 9 days later. Of course, I don't know. That they may have it flying by now.
That was as of what, the 6th? No.
I think so. I don't know what day, but yeah. So we thought, have you ever had a panel fly off and found missing when you arrived at a destination, Rick?
No, I've never landed that hard. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, actually, I haven't. But I know people that have, and this is a common occurrence. This just happens, every once in a while. It says here that there was a hole in the fuselage, so that tells me that the fact that they didn't have a pressurization problem may have just been a hole in a I don't know, unpressurized part of the airplane, or gear well, or bearing, or something like that. So it's really no big deal. The flaps came down normally, so normal hydraulic system, so no issue there. So it's just you're just gonna have to fix it on the ground, and then you just keep on going. Now you can dispatch an airplane with missing panels and missing components based off of what's called the CDL configuration deviation list, and certain things can be missing. And when you reference that manual, it'll tell you what kind of performance penalties are incurred. And then that's that. I guess they'll fix the thing, and it'll keep on going. I mean, these things are, these 7.4s, as we all know, they're built like trucks, and
they're built for panels to fall off.
Yes. There's a certain level of panels necessary.
You see what happened was that there was a 340 below them, and they're just trying to time it just right.
Yeah, they were trying to bomb the 340.
Sabotage.
Problem was
we're quite capable of throwing our own panels off,
and they missed it. So that was the issue.
They'll have to time their aim a little better the next time.
Exactly, a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember being stuck in the hour and a half queue to get to the end of the runway at JFK, and the chief cabin crew came up and said that she had a warning on her panel saying that the water, the panel on the water filling area
Port,
at the back of the aircraft
Access.
was open. So I went, okay, all right then.
Yeah, thank you.
Sounds
rather than
unimportant. Let's
blithely
continue.
ignoring it, I taxied all the way back into our area.
It was close.
And speaking to the engineers, who said, it's no problem. We'll get underneath and have a look. Don't bother shutting down. We'll be fine. So they came under the back of the airplane and said, it was the filling panel, isn't it? Where all the bits and the hoses go. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they said, it looks fine to us. So we taxied all the way back out again.
Waited another hour and a half.
2 tons short of fuel now. Eventually got airborne. Actually, air traffic were very good and snuck us in, into the queue. Yeah. Got back home, and of course the panel wasn't secure. It had ripped off. And,
Ew. Were they looking at the wrong panel?
Well, thankfully, you went back and had the
covered your
you covered your side of things. Exactly. They signed off on it. You went, and it went, and you're good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I felt a bit. He's a nice guy. The guy who used to do us at JFK, but I felt a bit sorry for him. But for heaven's sake, if you're going to come and look at the airplane, look at the damned airplane.
Exactly.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
And wait a minute, was this an American guy that looked at it?
I'm afraid so.
Yeah, there you go.
It was a contract engineer. That's right. We blew his hat off. I couldn't.
Well, boss. Well, Hoss. Looks fine to me.
Yeah. And are they allowed to wear their 6 guns on the ramp?
Yes. Yeah, it's required.
Especially JFK. Jeez.
Yeah, you need it there. So
there you go.
I mean that's just precisely the right thing to do, because a lot of these doors have these little micro switches that get worn out over time, and you do get an alert up in the flight deck, and if a light is on, you have to address it. You can't just go on willy nilly. Hey. But I'm you're lucky that you got out of there with that JFK traffic, and they were able to help you out there.
Absolutely, yeah, they were nice to us.
Yeah, so
for a change.
Yeah, for a change.
I was going to say that's
it's not a normal thing.
Rarity. With all love to JFK control.
All right, let's jump to this next one. NTSB blames inexperienced pilot for accident that killed 3 people. This is from Flying Magazine. Let's see. The NTSB cited a lack of pilot experience in the 2019 loss of a Cessna 421 Golden Eagle that killed 3 people in DeLand, Florida. Armand Girard, 24, and Shauna Carbonaro, 34, both of DeLand, and Ernedro Felipe, 32, of Kissimmee, please, Florida. Were killed when the multi-engine airplane they were in went down in a wooded area in the afternoon of September 29, 2019. According to NTSB records, the aircraft was purchased in June of 2019 for $35,000 by Martin Flores of Texas. Flores told the NTSB that he bought the aircraft as an investment. He purchased the aircraft through an eBay auction, paying $6,000 for the repairs and another $4,500 for a pilot to ferry the aircraft to Texas. Of course, he probably thought that this money for the pilot to ferry the aircraft was for a qualified pilot to fly the airplane.
Yeah.
Nope. After repairs were made, he intended to sell the airplane. Flores told investigators that it was his understanding that the mechanic who was performing the repairs had found an instructor to fly the aircraft, and the name of his contact was a person named Ernedro. Is that the way you pronounce that? Ernedro?
Ernedro?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
The mechanic stated that Philippe was identified as the pilot who would ferry the airplane to the owner after repairs were made. However, Philippe, a private pilot with 155 hours, did not have the required training or certification to legally fly the complex, high-performance multi-engine aircraft. Girard held a commercial pilot certificate for both single and multi-engine airplanes and a flight instructor rating for single-engine airplanes. His logbook indicated 500 hours total time, of which 40 was in multi-engine airplanes. Girard's logbook did not show a complex endorsement or a record of an instruction received in Cessna 421. The investigation also indicated the toxology report. He had Girard, the pilot flying, had THC, a derivative of marijuana, in his system at the time of the accident, but it was not clear if he was impaired. The owner of the aircraft had not given permission for the flight to take place. I thought he had. The mechanic in charge of making the repairs to the aircraft stated that he also had not given permission for the flight, as neither the repairs or the required paperwork and inspections required to return the aircraft to service had been completed.
Oopsie.
2 witnesses in the vicinity of the aircraft or the accident described the aircraft flying between 1,000 and 2,000 feet above the ground. One witness described seeing the 421 roll 3 times before he lost sight of it as it descended into a wooded area approximately 4 miles from the departure airport. The landing gear and flaps appeared to be in the retracted position. The witnesses stated the witness stated he heard the engines make 2 pop sounds. The wreckage was found at the base of a tree in an upright position. The cockpit was crushed and the fuselage fragmented, though there was evidence of post-accident fire that consumed the left wing. It was determined that both engines were producing power at the time of impact, as the propellers were not feathered and there were freshly cut branches at the wreckage site. There were no indications of pre-impact flight control or engine malfunctions that contributed to the accident. Based on the pilot's lack of any documented training in the accident airplane and the witness statements, the NTSB concluded that the pilot most likely lost control of the aircraft. The NTSB stated it was likely Girard who was acting as pilot in command at the time, although there was no record of him ever having flown a Cessna 421 before.
How odd.
Wow.
So they just took the thing for a joyride and...
Just a little bit more than he could do.
Yeah. Bit off more than you could chew, apparently.
Before the repairs were complete and it had been signed off by the mechanic, what were they thinking?
They weren't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
What could go wrong? That's what they were thinking.
I'm interested here. I'm wondering here. So the one guy had commercial, single, and multi. How did he not have a complex endorsement?
I don't know.
That doesn't seem right.
No, I mean,
generally that happens, although it's technically possible. So the multi-engine aircraft that I did my training in was not high performance.
So it's not complex?
But
it was complex, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Just
So
high
hyper-
performance.
Complex is like the
complex. So you need 3 things. You need a variable pitch prop,
Yeah.
flaps, and retractable landing.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it would be kind of odd
But you
to
can
have
still
a
do that
multi-engine
without
rating
high
and not
performance,
have.
And not have a complex.
Yeah, you should have complex, but not the high performance is technically possible, I suppose.
That's kind of jumped at me there.
That is weird.
Just read that.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
So that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Gubby.
Just appreciate that.
Find
Oh
the
yeah, okay.
darn
I'm sorry.
handbook.
I was thinking back to the guy with only 155 hours. He didn't have his high performance, but it doesn't say anything about the guy who they think was PIC not having a high performance. Just
Yeah.
no complex endorsement, which I agree is
Yeah.
bizarre. That
It's a little odd.
it's almost impossible. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, they're not
sad.
going to do that again.
Nope, they're not.
Well, they're not.
Yep. Well, speaking of, I don't know, piloting skills, or lack thereof, let's do 01E. Pilot's lack of flying explored after serious 737 go-around incident at Aberdeen. What is with the 737 and go-arounds?
Well, when you go around a 737, the autopilot disconnects. You're actually hand flying the thing.
Oh, okay. That kind of feathers or dovetails in nicely with the fact that people are relying more and more on autoflight to fly airplanes and not manual skills.
I didn't know that actually, and actually it made sense because I went back and read that accident report on that Fly Dubai 73 that went down after doing that go around, and then I spoke to a couple of 73 drivers, and they say, yeah, in fact, when you go around, the thing it clicks off, and you're along for the ride. You're in control, exactly. So.
Well, which is it? One or the other? Along for the ride or in control?
Well, in this case, apparently along for the ride.
Along for the ride. UK investigators are examining whether lack of line flying as a consequence of the pandemic is directly linked to a serious go-around incident involving TUI or TUI Airways Boeing 737-800 at Aberdeen. Neither pilot had flown for significant periods during the 18 months prior to the 11 September incident, and the Air Accidents Investigation Branch has highlighted the difficulty in using simulators as a substitute for the real-world pressures and workload of line flying. Although the investigation has not established a link between this incident and a lack of recent line flying, it is clearly a possibility.
Oh, that's the lawyers.
Yeah, anything's a possibility. The aircraft had been operating from Palma de Mallorca to Aberdeen and was preparing for a Cat 1 ILS approach to runway 34. Owing to the presence of a search and rescue helicopter which had been given priority, the 737 pilots were warned they might have to discontinue the approach. Okay, at this point I would start reviewing my go-around procedures with my first officer.
Hey, we might be going around.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Hey, they told us about it in advance, so it's not going to be a surprise.
Right. Well, you'd be wrong there, Steph.
Sorry.
This break-off instruction was confirmed at 2,600 feet, and the crew was told to climb to 3,000. That's only 400 feet, people, and turn left onto a heading of 270 degrees. Okay, so, you know what, not even 90 degrees of turn. With the activation of go-around thrust, the single active autopilot disengaged, as Rick, you mentioned, that once you start the go-around procedure and the 7.3, you are manually flying the airplane. Notable events during the 737's aborted approach to Aberdeen. The aircraft began to climb from 2,250 feet some 18 seconds later. That's a long time.
He was
Took him
still
18
doing
seconds?
his briefing.
Maybe he was. Good
2,
point.
1,000, 3, 1,000.
Anyway, I haven't finished my go-around briefing yet.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's a long time. And then it started its left turn. But before it reached 3,000 feet, it began to descend before the flight director had transitioned from altitude acquisition to altitude hold mode. Investigators determined that the descent rate peaked at 3,100 feet per minute. The entire event occurred in instrument meteorological conditions, IMC. Let's see, I'm going to go down here a little bit further. This special bulletin aims to highlight that go-arounds from intermediate altitudes on approach can provoke errors because they are not practiced frequently.
That is true.
It stresses that both pilots had faced long stretches without flying over the previous 18 months as the pandemic forced airlines to slash operations and ground aircraft. Okay, that's fair. That happened to most airlines out there. Both pilots had undergone numerous simulator sessions over this period in order to retain currency, but the inquiry says the captain had flown only 10 flights in the month prior to the incident. Let me pause for a moment. How many flights would you have flown in a month period, Nick?
3.
Okay, thank
4.
you. Thank you. I just wanted to kind of point out that having 10 flights in the month prior to the
Not
incident
unusual.
is not, I mean, that's probably better than average.
Yeah, it's better than average.
Well, for a long-haul pilot, very
Depends
much.
on the type of flying that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. While the first officer was operating only his 4th flight in almost 11 months, having completed 2 flights with a trainer 7 days earlier.
Yeah, it's a little less.
Yeah. But, you know, it said that they had
Been
been
in the
to
simulator.
several simulator sessions,
Yeah.
and you practice these things.
Yeah. I'm going to make the point that in line flying, you don't normally practice go-rounds.
No.
They're very rare. I can the fingers of one hand in my entire career have I done go-rounds. The place you do them is in the simulator. So
Yes.
these guys have been doing lots of simulators. They've probably been practicing lots of go-rounds. So I'm not quite sure how they equate this simulator as to the lack of go-round practice.
Well, I have a question about this particular scenario, though, because their breakoff instruction was given at 2,600 feet, and they were climbing to 3,000 feet, and then not much of a turn there as well. Would you normally do full go-around procedure there, activation of go-around thrust?
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to get into. The problem with at least in Boeing's, so when you fly an ILS approach, right? So you arm once you're on your final vector to join the localizer and you're finally clear for the approach, you arm both the localizer and the glide slope modes of the autopilot, and you press the approach button. You capture the localizer, fly. Capture the glide slope, come down. Now, both the lateral and the vertical aspects of the autopilot and flight director system are being controlled by signals from the ILS from the ground. When we talked about this a couple episodes ago, when you put the flap side up, the go around mode arms, right? And if you are to go around from being fully established on an ILS, the only way to get out of that localizer glide slope armed mode is to go around. Just you hit the go around button and you get your 2,000 feet a minute climb, and the airplane goes into go around mode. So it's going to give you the amount of thrust required to get you that 2,000 feet a minute climb. It doesn't matter how close you are to your level of altitude, which is why it's so important that if you're doing an intermediate go around like these guys did, you are on the ball there, because you're gonna get that bump of thrust right away. And
you're gonna blow through 400 feet of altitude in like
that.
No time.
Exactly, and even more so, the fact that on 7.3s the autopilot disconnects, you really have to be on the ball, because you hit go around, you disconnect the localizer glide slope aspects of it, and then you have to re-engage another lateral and vertical mode as well. Because until you reselect something to the effect of either flight level change or vertical speed, the vertical mode of the go around of the autopilot is still going to be on go around mode, giving you that 2,000 feet a minute required to get you to that go around altitude. So you have to be quick on selecting the correct button up on the mode control panel, right, to capture the altitude, and then on top of that, deal with the lateral aspect of the flight, and which in this case would be head and select, getting you to the correct heading, or LNAV if you're flying the published missed approach off of the flight management system. And the problem with that is, I'm sorry.
Simple. I have a question here, which might be a dumb question. Once you select go around, can't you just then click everything off and fly manually?
Well,
Yes.
you can.
You are flying manually in this
and
case.
And it's clicking off the automation anyway. So.
And the problem with this whole thing is that the pilot flying is actually handling the aircraft, and then the pilot monitoring now has to select the correct mode on the mode control panel, because whoever's flying the aircraft has their handful literally, because they're flying the airplane on a 7.3. So it's a very, very tricky maneuver. And if it's not practiced, it's obviously, as Nick said, I can also count the times I've gone around with the fingers on one hand. And in the simulator is actually quite interesting. You see, they give you one of these scenarios where they do an intermediate go around, and it's just things are happening fast, and you overspeed flaps, and you forget to put the gear up, and it's like and on the post simulator briefing, the guy goes, "What the heck happened?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what happens.
At Acme a couple of years ago, and during our recurrent training scenarios, we went over a bunch of these types of situations where, let's back up. The go-around procedure is built so that you're at minimums and you're pretty close to the ground, and you need all that power and pitch up and everything else to get you away from the ground as rapidly as you can be going. And in this case, you're already at the altitude you need to be, and this is almost one of those situations where maybe you initiate a go-around procedure and then almost immediately you say, okay, that's going to be way too much power. We need to put the pitch back down. We need to kind of go into a normal, almost like a cruise flight scenario, controlling the airplane, not a go-around procedure.
Yeah,
so
that's
you can't,
exactly right, Jeff. In our Airbus procedures, we used to have 3 different types of go-round. There's obviously the easy one, which is the one you always practice at decision height. There was one at a sort of intermediate height below the acceleration altitude and one above the acceleration altitude. Yeah. And generally speaking, as soon as you got height beneath you and you don't need all that speed, we would just push the throttles into toga to initiate the go-round, then immediately bring them back to climb, and then grab the autopilot and start adjusting it. Or you could just deselect the approach and just adjust whatever you need to on the autopilot, and when it was safe to let the aircraft accelerate and clean up.
That is something that you folks on the Airbus have that we don't. So once the localizer and glide slope capture, then that's it. You're going down the chute to the ILS.
Yeah, locked in.
Exactly, you are locked in. So I remember
along for the ride.
Even with my airplane, you have to know how to get it out of that mode, and it's not easy. It's not like just hitting one button and it's going to happen. There are different things. Sometimes you have to, select the frequency or do all kinds of different modes to finally get the thing out of that ILS, localizer and glide slope track capture.
So one of the ways, at least I personally try to mitigate that when I'm in a very high traffic area, and I can and actually this did save me one time. Anticipating a go around intermediate altitude is you capture the localizer normally with the localizer mode of the autopilot, and then you just capture the glide slope with vertical speed, and you fly the glide slope on vertical speed. So you're on the glide slope, but you're just tracking it using the vertical speed mode of the autopilot. And when this happened to me, and the person in the controller told me to go around, I had just gone through go around altitude, told me to go around, maintain my go around altitude. I think I'd gone through it by, I think it was under 1,000 feet. So all I really did, I just treated it as treated it as a normal just level change maneuver, where I just put the other altitude, the new altitude up, and just went flat level change, and the airplane just went back up to the altitude that it needed, still tracking the localizer until I was given a new a vector off the approach to come back around. So that's one way you can do it, at least on Boeing's. I wish that's one of the things actually I wish that Boeing did a little better there, given as the option of deselecting the approach for if anything. To a
the aircraft I fly aren't so fancy. You could just turn off the autopilot and it'll stop flying the approach for you.
Yeah, so wait a minute, Rick, you actually did something like you used your pilot skills and your pilot brain to fly the airplane and make it do what you wanted it to do? That is so weird.
Believe it or not.
Weird. Yeah. Wow.
I surprise myself sometimes.
Well, that's what we're supposed to do. Thank you, Rick, for
But I think these accident investigation people are actually on the lookout for anything that they can highlight as a problem, because they're anticipating hassles with people coming back to flying who haven't had a lot of recent experience. I'm not quite sure they hit the nail on the head with this one, but I think it's good that they're on the lookout for it.
I think it's thinking about scenarios that could be problematic for people if they haven't thought through them in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Bring that to light in training.
And it's good for podcasts like ours to talk about these things, and make people think about, maybe I really need to sit down and think about what I'm going to do in this particular situation.
And that's exactly it. When you're given an approach clearance, even if there's nobody ahead of you, just think about what you're going to do. What's the scenario going to look like? What's the procedure going to look like?
Right.
Just if you land, then that's great, but you shoot an approach to go around, and you begin a takeoff roll to reject. Just if you think of it that way, then you won't be, if something does happen, it's something that you plan for, beforehand.
And you communicate that with the person that you're flying with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So everybody knows, what potentially might happen and what we're going to do in that situation. No surprises. Oh, okay. Finally, this one, this happened a while ago, but it's one of these you
We're
just
still
can't.
talking about this?
You just can't pass this up.
Well, it's about cats.
It's about cats. You know, cats are so
Yeah.
cute.
No, they're not.
A Delta passenger on a flight from Syracuse to Atlanta was breastfeeding her hairless cat and refused to stop. Now, why are they picking on hairless cats? That's what I'd like to know. Anyway, the incident allegedly happened aboard a Delta Flight 1360 from Syracuse, New York to Atlanta. It was a Delta connection carrier. Message sent by crew member through aircraft communications addressing and reporting system claims passenger was breastfeeding her cat. A Delta staffer requested that the flight be met by redcoats, who are elite airport customer service I wouldn't say elite, but
the
they're
British were
airport
there?
customer service experts.
Yeah, the redcoats are coming. The redcoats are
If
the redcoats-
if you say that in the United Kingdom, you're talking about a Butlins holiday camp.
That's the same thing over here. Same thing. Flight attendant claimed in a TikTok video the pet owner lifted her shirt and was trying to get her swaddled and screaming hairless cat to latch.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, she refused to stop when asked by a flight attendant. It took place from Syracuse to Atlanta. The tale of the purportedly unhinged feline lover became, I guess they're talking about
Who
the
writes
cat,
this stuff?
became public knowledge after a screenshot went viral on social media showing a message that was transmitted by a Delta crew member to colleagues on the ground in Atlanta.
I'm confused. Are we talking about hinging cats or latched cats?
I think we're talking both in this case.
Okay. Has hinges and latches. Wow. what a
Unhinged
cat.
and
Unhinged
latched.
cat. Wow. Unhinged cat owners of latched cats.
Let's see. Yeah, that's probably enough. Okay, let's just stop right there. Thank you, Liz. Good idea. And let's move on to this part of the show, which I enjoy so much, getting to know us. I'm not going to sing words, although I am doing it now for some reason. Anyway, getting to know us. It's that time of the show where we kind of talk about mostly non-aviation related stuff, just stuff happening in our lives. And the big thing that happened for all of us here at APG, the crew, was our big 500 episode. And I tried to express my thanks for a bunch of people toward the end of that whole thing. And I'm afraid that I may have forgot some people that I wanted to thank for sure. And so I thought that this might be a good time for us now that the dust has settled. It was the 3rd of December when we did, 2 weeks ago tomorrow. So we took the week off after the 500 because it was a lot of work, a lot of prep work involved in doing the show. And the crew just needed to take a breather, especially me. And so that's what we did. And during that time, we had a chance to kind of talk about it and debrief and kind of relive the whole thing. And it just, I thought, I think we need to do a cleanup of the event and all the wonderful people that attended and supported us in our effort to celebrate the 500th episode. So with that in mind, I'd like to go to my notes here. And the first thing that I want to say, and I don't know if Richard is still in the live audience right now or not, but the first person, I got to the hotel in Atlanta on Thursday, the 2nd of December, in the afternoon, and I was waiting at the elevator, and I saw this gentleman, with a dark blue shirt on that had the Fly Acme Airlines logo on it. And he turned around and introduced himself as Richard Brooks. And honestly, he said, well, I didn't recognize him. And I'm thinking, have we met before? And he goes, no. And he said, I retired last year, and it still was not ringing any bells in my head. And Richard, if you're listening right now, you're probably thinking, yeah, you're kind of looking like, what are you talking about? Who are you? And then he mentioned that his employees had set up this surprise shout out right before he retired last year, December 4th, I believe. And a lady named Ashley had contacted us and she worked for the Cecil County Department of Emergency Services in Maryland. And she was talking about Richard Brooks, her chief, is an avid fan of our podcast and listens every week and all that. And so as soon as he said that, I went, I know exactly who you are. And I'm so happy that you were able to come down for our 500th episode. And he said he wouldn't miss it for anything. And so the reason, okay, Richard is here. So the thing I want to mention about Richard is that he immediately said, hey, what do you need me to do? What do you need help with? And he was basically my right-hand man for the entire, all day Thursday, all day Friday, and even some on Saturday before he had to leave early, I believe. And so anyway, I just wanted a big shout out to Richard because he helped me so much, just like unpacking the car and getting stuff inside and setting up and taping Ethernet cables and XLR cables and everything else. I mean, he was like, I don't know what you call those people that do all that work in the background for setting up gaffers. Yeah, he was my master gaffer. That's what I said, master gaffer. Don't put anything else in there. But anyway, he did such a great job in helping me. So thank you, Richard. I really do appreciate it.
Good job,
you were just
Richard.
awesome. Yeah. So, and then Mike Carroll said, hey, do you need anything, Jeff? And I said, yeah, I think I may not have brought enough power cords. So Mike Carroll's, the host of Flying in Life podcast, he was able to throw a bunch of, because he hadn't put his Christmas lights up yet, so he had all these power cords, and which worked out perfectly. And I used almost every one that he brought. So thank you, Mike, for that. Jeff Jett, he's a jet fuel Java guru. He is the guy that owns the coffee roaster, and I love this coffee that I drink almost all the time. And I ended up getting a bag. He brought several bags of coffee, and I snagged one of them, and it was called the Tomcat House Blend, I think. I love it. It's really a little bit lighter roast than I'm used to, and I love it. But anyway, he said at some point, I don't remember exactly when, that he has set up a new discount code for all of us av geeks, and it's good until New Year's Day, and it's 50% off. So that's a huge discount.
Wow, that's generous.
So you use the code DEC, all capital letters, DEC for December, 500, DEC 500, 50% off, as many bags of coffee as you can buy, but it's only good for that one purchase. So, check out his coffee is amazing. It's really, really good. And by the way, he is a pilot, and he is hoping that this coffee roasting company will provide income for him to continue in his journey to continue to get ratings and such. And I'm not sure what the end game is. Perhaps, I'm sorry, Jeff, if you've told me this and I've forgotten or not, but I believe he may want to someday, do this for a living, the flying thing. But I can tell you one thing: if he's as good at flying as he is at roasting coffee, he'll be an excellent pilot. So thank you, Jeff, for bringing all the trinkets and bags of coffee and just helping out in so many ways. I really do appreciate that. Sat next to him at the Louisiana Bistro that night, and we had a good time. Martin Kemp, working for ForeFlight Jeppesen, gave me a poster, which you might be able to see if you're watching the video. The box is right behind me here. Fanny, one of the little donkeys that Greg Peterson brought with him, 300, I think he brought, is perched upon the box with the poster in it. It's a poster of a iPad EFB with the flight Jeppesen Flight Deck Pro software that many airlines use, including Acme. And he also gave me a really cool, let's see if I can find it. I guess you call it a luggage tag. Ooh. It says Captain. Can you see that? And Jeppesen on the back. So I added that to my collection of tags on my backpack.
Oh, at least it doesn't say Captain removed before flight.
Yeah, well, this one, the Lost Aviator. Speaking of coffee roasters, pilots and coffee roasting must go together. They sent me this one here, this drink before flight.
Well.
And
it's on my cooler.
A lot of people say, what does that say? Drink, a little provocative. And I said, no, you got to look at the other side. It says Lost Aviator Coffee Company. So it's coffee. Drink coffee.
Ah,
Yeah, a couple of furloughed Canadian aviators. I don't know if they're still furloughed or not. They're probably back at work.
see
Yeah.
see that one when a Fed walks in, into the
Yeah,
cockpit.
I'm gonna say yeah. Here we go. You didn't read the whole thing.
You gotta read the whole thing there, Fed.
Yeah. We were having internet connection issues, hardwired internet before the show started. There was a lot of catastrophes going on in the background. And Ernie Eaton was there with his son, Craig, who was he was upgrading a captain, I think, for SkyWest at the flight safety, or like almost right next door to the hotel. But Ernie came down and was present at the event, and he really helped coordinate with the offsite internet guy that was able to put in the proper codes and MAC IDs and all these different things to get the hardwired Ethernet to work. Without it, I don't think we would have been able to do the show. So thank you, Ernie, for helping out with that. Greg Peterson, the Big Ass Fan guy, as I mentioned, and that's really the name of the company, by the way, Big Ass Fan Company in Lexington, Kentucky. Fanny, the little donkey that you can see right behind me here. As I said, he brought a bunch of those. And let's see. Oh, JJ Pittsburgh gave me. Where is it? I don't know if you can see it. This gin from Pittsburgh, JJ Pittsburgh. It's called Wiggle Gin. I don't know. It's wigglewhiskey.com. And it's a Dutch style gin. And it's very good. And I told JJ we're going to have to drink some of this together. And then we never got around to it before the whole thing ended and JJ had to leave. So JJ, I'll save some for us to have some next time you're down here or I'm up there. And thank you, by the way. Hillel gave me a mug. Glazier, that's his last name, Aviation. And it's a very nice mug for holding beer and coffee. Not at the same time, though.
I was going to say it's a funny mix.
Well, you can have a coffee stout.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess there are times when the two kind of mix. Hillel also helped us out in many ways behind the scenes and worked with Liz to coordinate a lot of things, including taking some pictures, which we'll show a little bit later in the show. So thank you, Hillel, for all that help. Jeff Falmouth sat next to me and was also a big help in preparing for the show and also, most importantly, helping me break down everything and pack things up on Saturday. We got to spend some good time together alone on Saturday. No, Liz, not what you're thinking. Not in the room, in the conference room. Stephen and Marcy, who, by the way, will be newlyweds in 2 days, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, this Saturday, the 18th, there is their wedding, which I'll be going to. And he and she brought a full cooler full of beer, really, really good beer that was fed to me. Yeah, thank you, Stephen, for that. That was a big help. And then Jim Mercado, I just wanted to, I know I did thank him during the show, but I wanted to thank him again for coming up with the 500 episode logo, which was an adaptation of the Fly Acme logo and the glasses. And not only did he design the logo, but he took the bull by the horns and said, I'm going to go ahead and just coordinate all the printing and the shipping and everything else. And a couple of cases were shipped over to the UK and 3 cases to us here in the US. So thank you so much, Jim, for doing that. I can't tell you how much that meant to me and took so much off my shoulders. So, let's see. I'm going to look at the spreadsheet that Liz put together. And not everybody that attended in Atlanta is on the spreadsheet, but I just want to go over quickly. Harris Bergman, it was nice seeing you. I wish that we had more time to talk, but I know you live in the Marietta area, so we'll have an opportunity to do that, get some more coffee in the future. Let's see. I talked about Richard Brooks. Laura Davis. Oh, by the way, this is something that was given to me. It's a Delta. I don't know why Delta. Come on, you couldn't find one with the Acme livery on it. MD88, and this card that goes with it. And this is back from July of 2021, Oshkosh. Jeff, we saw this and thought of you again for the 1,000th time this week. It's nice to be thought of 1,000 times in a week. Thank you. Well, maybe I would assume that that's in a positive way. Maybe not. Wishing you clear skies, tailwinds, and unlimited IPAs. Miss you and can't wait to see you here next year. Yeah, I look forward to that as well. Your adoring APG fans, Laura Davis, Logan Lynch, and David Abbey. So the three of them got together, and but now it's still in the box. I haven't had a chance to put it together, but I got it. Thank you very much, guys. Okay. Let's see. Perry Heyman, did I even get a chance to say hi to him? He said he was arriving late. I don't remember that. Stephen Ivey, Mike Carrolls, Martin Kemp. The Van Ram brothers were there, both Tim and Mark from both coasts, East Coast and West Coast. Bi-coastal, yeah. And Tim Yancey and our mystery guest, which Mike Carrolls blew the cover of the day before.
Glad you finished that sentence.
Yeah, blew the cover of. Ryan RH showed up from opposing bases, and that was very special. So, and he had a nice piece of feedback that was read out by Captain Nick on the live show on the 3rd of December. So anyway, if I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but there are just so many people that helped in so many ways, and it was such a great time. That's all I wanted to do was just kind of talk about the show again. And did we talk about the cover art yet that you did, Nick? Okay,
I just fancied up the one we'd already done, but
well, there you go. It's pretty nice, I think. Lots of 500s on there, and lots of balloons and confetti.
Takes a lot of time to type in all those 500s. You know?
I think there's probably a way to do it so you don't have to type out each one.
Well, yeah, I wish that you'd told me that before.
Anyways, that was a beautiful piece of artwork. Thank you, Nick. And we understand the how you got all the ideas for the 500 episode. Lots of pictures in there that he put together. A lot of painstaking work. So thank you, Nick, for doing that.
You're welcome.
And that is all I have. I know it's a lot, and I knew that was going to take a lot of time, but I felt it was necessary to do because I just wanted to let everybody know what a great time that I had, even though it was a little bit. I do need to thank someone that was over there in the UK, Nick, your right-hand man over there, Neville Bounds was doing a lot of last-minute troubleshooting as well, and we were working together to do what was necessary to get everything all lined up so that we could actually do this. There was actually a moment, or maybe more than one moment, that I thought that this was not going to happen, that this was going to be something that we're just going to have a party in the UK and we're going to have a party in the US, but we're not going to do a show because we were having issues with the audio, the internet to begin with, and then the audio and the monitor speakers and the feedback, and it was just horrible. It was really a mess. And luckily we worked that out before we got the show started. So anyway, thank you, Nev. You the man. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Very much so. And down at my end, there's I can't talk about everybody because there were just so many people who were there and having fun and wanting to help out. But Chris Postill saved our bacon because he provided our internet link through his very fancy phone. And I must admit, when I saw it stuck up in the window with a little battery bank there to keep it going for the whole show, I thought this is never going to work. But it did. It was brilliant, Chris. So thank you very much indeed for that. And Captain Nige, who kept me well fed with beers and provided some very nice flagship ale. So that was absolutely.
What about Captain Al? I mean, Captain Al was the guy that did that for 200. I guess
He
Nigel
did,
took over.
Indeed,
Huh?
yeah. Nigel decided that was his job. 'Cause he
Okay.
was closest to the cold box, I think. That was brilliant.
Tip my hat to Captain Al and his efforts in the chicken nugget eating contest.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
am already
That
in
was
training
great.
for the next time.
And
That was
Pip's
really
nice bit of editing there too.
Yes.
Yeah, that was funny.
That
was very good.
Yeah, there were so many good things about that. While I'm talking, shall I just carry on? Because I want to say a big thanks today again to Greg Willis, who has provided a lovely reading for today's Plain Tale. And I may not get a chance at the time, but if ever you need a voiceover artist, gregwillits.com, he's the man. Go see him. A couple of days ago was in the PT UK Christmas special, which was great fun. You'll see it, I think, Christmas Day, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere close to that. I have mentioned the pandemic is the new variant. The Omicron is sweeping across the United Kingdom, but sadly it's affected my family now. So my youngest son no longer lives with me. He's got his own place with his lovely lady. Sadly, they're having to isolate now, so that's rather thrown our Christmas into turmoil. They're both okay-ish. I mean, they're suffering a little, but it's not serious so far. So fingers crossed for them.
Not as much as they'd suffer if they actually were there with you and Julie.
Yes, exactly right. Yes.
It's
Just
Christmas,
You're so
Jeff. It's
mean.
Christmas.
I'm just kidding. You know it.
Now, we know that Adam Spink, our air traffic controller from
Yeah, how is he
Heathrow, yeah, he was due to be there. He'd been clubbed up by track and trace, so he didn't have COVID, and he's fine. But he had to isolate until he had got the results of his PCR test. So he missed the 500th. He's remained clear of COVID, and he's got over his cold as well. So we met up for a quick lunch at Blackbush Airport just for fun. I was getting my car serviced, and he was free of work, so we had lunch together. Thanks very much indeed for picking up the tab, Adam. I owe you one. Very kind of you. Thanks very much for that, and lovely to chat to you. And I was able to give him his 500th glass because he wasn't there to pick it up himself. What a lovely memento that is, and thanks very much indeed, Jim, for getting those across to the United Kingdom for everyone to have. That's really it from me. Nothing else has happened last few days, so that's good. Cheers.
Yep, there's a glass right there that Liz has on the screen.
That looks like a used one.
It does look like it has been used.
Would you prefer that they weren't used?
Well, I mean, that's a good thing to be used, I guess.
Absolutely.
I like being used. Let's see. As long as we have the slideshow, why don't we I see you're backing it up to the beginning, and we're going to see some of the photos that Hillel took. That's the picture outside of the window. The room that we were in was right there overlooking the north runway complex of Atlanta International Airport. There's the crew set up, or some of us. There's Roger in the background and Dana and Jeff Jett and Jeff N and RH sitting there having a beer and watching and thinking, I'm glad I don't have to worry about any of this stuff right now.
That's good.
Yeah, look at these guys.
The thinkers.
The jumper dumpers.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
No good.
And again, the view of the panel, there's Radio Roger in the foreground, Dana. Yeah. Oh yeah, Nev, please don't judge me. I didn't have time to, pretty up the cable management.
Go ahead, judge away.
Yeah. Steph doesn't
Dana's
care.
the only one who knows that his picture is being taken here.
I think so, yeah. And because we're concentrating on something that's directly in front of us here. Yeah, there's Jeff Felmuth.
Three things, according to you, Jeff.
What's that?
You're holding up three fingers.
Oh, I am? Oh, that's true, I am. I don't know what we're talking about at that point. There's Radio Roger and Dana. and another shot of us at the front and the monitor screen behind us, and that was during the plane tail when you were talking about your late father, Andy Anderson. And then there's some people hanging out after the recording. And just in that room that you can see behind them is where the bar and the hors d'oeuvres were located, and you can see that they're already enjoying some of those. There's Tim Van Ram and Jeff Jett and Armando and Edwin from Orlando, works for JetBlue, and another close up there, Armando and Edwin, and Dana and Ed Harris, right? That's his name, I believe.
I think so.
I am Andy, I'm sorry, not Ed. Andy Harris.
Names. Probably don't ask me who's.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Sorry, Andy. And that's Javon that I'm having a little talk with. Javon Monsanto. Yes, we were having a very, very serious conversation. And you can see Mike Carroll's in the background there. And there's RH and Tom Dugan with the mustache. He said he grew that for Movember, and he kept it on because he wanted to have it when we had our 500 episode because of the mustache thing.
And he's had to wait 5 years? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Laura Davis in the background there. I think we have another one of her.
How's her mustache going?
Yeah. Let's see.
I don't know. Mine was pretty. Oh, with Fred.
Yeah, there's Fred and Laura Davis.
Special amount of mystery.
Uh-huh. And there's the 500 episode glass. So there, those are my pictures. Or actually, Hillel took all those. So thank you, Hillel, for doing that. And Nick, I think you said you may have some photos of your end of things for the 500.
Yeah, absolutely. Happily stick those up.
Okay. Liz is trying to find them. There she is.
That's okay. I've got it, Liz. There's the wonderful Nev. And more importantly, there's Phil Catling in the middle of the back with his thumb up. I'm not quite sure what his thumb is up, but it's up.
Oh, no.
He's the listener whose idea it was to go to that fantastic museum. So brilliant. Thanks, Phil.
Very nice.
His son was on board as well. There's our two Germans, Jawohl, an A380 captain and the lovely hotel owner, Tillman. So well done, Stefan and Tillman, for making it across. They had quite a struggle getting through all the procedures because they'd just introduced new testing procedures in the UK. And there's the lovely Rob, who's headmaster.
Oh, yeah, Rob Simmons.
Yes, absolutely. Headmaster of a school. Yeah. I've been across to his school in London and done a few talks. So lovely to see him. The sad thing was, probably like you, Jeff, couldn't chat to everybody.
I know. It just wasn't enough time.
Absolutely. There's the audience, and there's your ugly mugs there in the distance.
Thank you.
And there's Captain Nige there and the boys. It was a lovely place, wasn't it? A great table, a great place to be. There, right in the middle, is Chris Postal, whose phone we used. And there on the left is Louis, I think, who had roared his way from interviews and acceptance procedures with an airline, which he is planning to join as cabin crew, but hopes eventually to switch to pilot because he is a qualified airline pilot.
Oh,
but he apparently made his Volvo go supersonic to get there in time. There's the boys, and of course there's Adam Spink. He's not.
That looks like just his profile picture.
We all had
he has no identity outside of the tower.
Just the tower.
Absolutely.
Just the tower.
I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's Al and Pep, and Al is just about to throw up into his mask because
so unlike Al.
Too many chicken nuggets. And that was the after party in the Aviator Hotel. So absolutely brilliant. Lovely to see everybody. And I think that's a general shot of the crew who was doing the transmitting. So
great shot.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant fun. Lots of hilarity going on amongst us. And you could just see beside my shoulder is the very Father Christmassy gentleman who Graham Rood, who is the curator of the Fast Museum, who did a fantastic job showing people around and did those lovely videos as well for us to advertise. And a fine gentleman he is too, who did so much with his staff to make it us so welcome there. So brilliant.
Excellent. Wow. Yeah, just looking at these pictures just kind of makes me relive the whole thing, which
Absolutely
was wonderful. Yeah, had a great time. It was just like happened too quickly, Didn't have time to talk as much as I wanted to all the people that attended in person. Didn't really have much time to even talk to my fellow crew members. Well,
I don't think we
there.
spoke once.
I know. Well, maybe
We were
once.
sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. Well, we were still, on the outs. Yeah. Still upset with each other. No, just kidding.
Story.
Yeah. Okay. So, Rick, what you been up to, man?
Well, clearly
We missed
missing
you.
Clearly missing all the fun.
Yeah, we did.
No, but this is a time of year when we play Santa Claus, and so very busy time of the year for us here. And when not flying, Kaya and I have been volunteering at this dog rescue in Phoenix. So I've been working with Saving Paws Arizona with dogs, trying to find them foster homes and again adopted and all that. So we've been doing that, but I tell you, it's just really bummed out we didn't get to make it up there. The plan was for both the Kaya and I to go up there and spend some time with the crew and be a part of all this. But sadly, this job of mine sometimes it tends to keep me away from from some of these events, which is it's a bit of a shame. But I'm hoping that as time goes on and seniority improves, things will be able to change in that regard.
We're hoping to get the like the yearly big meetups going again, hopefully next year.
I mean, we should probably just plan on the 525th meetup or something, like quarter.
Yeah, well, just whenever you're
Jeff's
available.
Like, shut up.
Yeah, let's don't do that. I think we decided that we weren't going to do another, big episode extravaganza until like the 1,000th. So I think iHaul Boxes says something about the 600.
600.
And I'm thinking, I don't even want to think about that right now. We'll see.
Well, we've got like 2 years, so
yeah, that's true.
okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Like 2 years.
Anyway, so so how's every? You said the with the dogs and all that kind of stuff, and
just having a great time with the dogs.
Yeah.
We have 3 at home ourselves, and we just adopted a little. Well, you guys know about it. We adopted a little Belgian Malinois a little while ago.
So cute.
So she's having a great time there at home with the other 2 dogs. And so when we have the time, about two times a week, we'll go out there and volunteer at the rescue. And it's great because it's out in the desert, wide open spaces for all the dogs to run around and do their thing. And it's nice because you kind of work in shifts. So there's a morning, afternoon, evening shift. So the dogs are always being tended to and walked and fed and all that and played with and socialized with. And a lot of these dogs are, just found in the desert. People just kind of like leave them out there to die. And so they're rescued and they're brought in. And so it's always nice to go from picking up basically a stray dog and getting them, the kind of love and attention that they need, and then eventually getting them to a loving home. So that's really nice. It's really tugs at my heartstrings. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Aside from that, the flying, just busy with the flying as well. Just got in from Maui this morning. Flew out to Kona and then Maui 2 days ago. Uneventful flight from here to Kona, and then on the Kona to Maui flight's a really short, 15-minute wheels up to wheels down flight. Descending into Maui though the other night, we got lasered pretty bad actually. We were going in, descending through about 12,000 feet on the base to final, because they basically, once you take off from Kona, they give you direct to the initial fix through the ILS runway 02 there, and it's kind of a dog leg, right turn to put you on the final for 02, and descending through about 12,000 feet. I see this bright blue laser, and I told my FO, just watch your eyes, or they have to see a laser up ahead. So we basically kept our eyes inside the cockpit the entire time, and whoever this bastard was kept doing it until we turned final, and the whatever town this person was in kind of was covered by the mountain there. Landed, uneventful landing. It wasn't windy for one, so that was nice. Parked, no problem, and then you had to do the inform ATC and do the flight crew incident report, and it's a bunch of paperwork involved, and it kind of pisses me off because it's no game. You can really hurt someone. Mm-hmm. We pilots rely obviously on our vision, and you can really hurt someone, physically, and their livelihoods and the safety of the aircraft. So just don't do stuff like
just
that.
Don't do it.
Exactly. So, So other than that, layover in Maui was nice, was short. Went over and picked me up. I showed you guys my jalapeno mouth beer.
Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna need to try.
Very
that.
nice, very nice.
Really, really good stuff.
Waikiki, but it's in Maui.
Yeah, Waikiki Brewing Company in Maui.
Huh.
It's funny because in Waikiki, I've looked for this place. And
is the Maui Brewing Company in Waikiki in Honolulu? Okay.
Maui Brewing Company is right there, which is kind of showing you guys switch places.
They're a little confused.
Yeah, well, that's why. I don't know.
So did that. Flew back 5 hours, coming back here to Ontario this morning. Beautiful weather, nice tailwind coming back. Nice moonlit night, so it was a pretty flight coming in. And then landed first thing in the morning. It was great. Apparently, the controller though was having a little bit of couple issues there with separation because we were on the downwind coming in here, and the guy goes, maintain 250 knots till further notice. And I'm
on
like,
the downwind.
On the downwind, because I can see the airport right there. It was my FO's leg, and he knows what he's doing. But I figured it's going to be interesting. But I just let him do what he let him do, because that's how you learn.
Okay,
so,
you got it, buddy.
Up for a fail.
Set the controller up for a fail on this one.
So he kept us a little high on the profile, which we're still at 250. So I was waiting for him to kind of So I told him, I'll tell you what, slow down at 240, and I'll tell you why on the ground. And so he did. He brought it back to 240. And so once the controller broke us off the approach, gave us the turn to base and then final. As soon as he gave us the turn and he authorized his descent, I told him, just go for flaps 1, started configuring flaps 1, and then basically configured on the placard speed coming all the way down. And after we landed, he did a good job. He's been with us for a couple of years. He did a good job managing the energy of the airplane. We were stabilized by 1,000 feet, no problem. And I told him, when you find yourself in these kinds of positions here, when an ATC tries to keep you fast, especially when they request 250 so close to the airport, go to 240, because 250 is a placard speed for flaps 1. Mm-hmm. But 240, you can go to flaps 1, and you're only 10 knots away from being able to extend to flaps 5. And flaps 5 dirties the wing quite a bit, and so that slows you down quickly.
Faster.
And so he hadn't heard, nobody's taught him or told him about that mode of managing the airspeed with the energy of the airplane with flap and speed brake. So he did great. He did great.
Yeah, the controllers aren't going to be able to tell the difference between 240
10
and
knots.
250.
Yeah, 10 knots is nice.
It's plus 10 minus 10. So
we call that, Rick, when you're in that situation, auto flaps.
Auto flaps, exactly.
So the person monitoring, just as soon as I'm slow enough, just put out the next set of just auto flaps.
Exactly right.
It works out well. Good teamwork.
It worked out fine. No problem. So that was it. That was my day.
Awesome.
Good day.
Yeah. So no de-icing or anything, huh?
No.
No de-icing in Maui?
No
Shocked.
jetsing in Maui. No, none of that. And it was actually kind of nice too because we took off before the tower closed, so we didn't have to do
The old position reports everywhere you
Yeah.
are on the
the
that's
GA
nice.
thing and having to take
Yeah.
off and click the runway lights on yourself and all that.
Just
So,
an added complication.
I don't even know how not to do that anymore. What's this control tower thing you speak of?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
It's nice when you get used to it, Steph. You should try it.
Maybe someday. I don't know, we'll see.
Steph, speaking of, have you been doing any flying lately?
I did a little bit. So this past weekend, Saturday was not a good day for the type of flying operations I do. It was very cloudy in the morning, very windy during the day, and then it rained a bunch in the evening. We had a big front come through, and it was very warm, crazy warm, like mid-70s Fahrenheit, which is, even for here in the South, that's a bit on the warm side for December. But it was great because I was in the process of helping my dad move. There's a whole long story behind all of that, and it actually involves dogs as well. He, due to a bit of a family tragedy, he now is caregiver for 3 more dogs. So I've got my 2, he's got his 3, and we've got, fortunately, separate living spaces at this point, so it all worked out kind of beautifully in the end. But like Rick was mentioning, three rescue dogs. One's a lab, one's a Bernese mountain dog and husky mix, and the other one is a Shih Tzu. And they're all a little bit on the older side, so not too much
A
energy.
hell of a mix. A mountain dog and a Shih Tzu.
Not together in one.
Hey, let's
Those are
watch our
2 separate dogs. So,
family show.
Yeah, family show.
but three wonderful dogs, and because of that bit of family tragedy that I mentioned, he's been kind of back and forth out of town, so I've been charged with taking care of the dogs. And his new place is about 1.5 miles away from me, so not too far away, but a couple extra hours out of the day just back and forth between the 2 places and making sure the dogs are fed and watered and out for walks and doing their business and have enough attention. And it's good. It just adds a lot of extra time to the day. And speaking of dogs, one of my dogs is trying to break into my studio right now. Truman.
Oh, no.
Back off, buddy.
Oh, Truman.
Man, he's got, we're going to work on his separation anxiety issues. He's a wonderful dog, but yes, it's a thing. So, yeah, so it was actually a good day for moving because it was warm, so we didn't have to like bundle up in snow gear or anything to do all of that, and got everything done before the rain moved in. Had some good help from local friends. And Sunday, better day for flying. I woke up kind of feeling a little under the weather, and it resolved. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go down and hang out and see. And, not super busy for jumper dumper operations in December. So generally I'm not the main pilot there. There's 2 of us, and sometimes if we're really busy, we'll fly 2 aircraft. So it wasn't that busy, but they were short on tandem instructors, and the other pilot is also a tandem instructor. So to help kind of speed things up at the end of the day and get everyone finished before the sunset, he ended up doing some jumps, and I ended up flying. So I flew a couple loads towards the end of the day, and felt great the rest of the day. No problems. Hung out for a while afterwards with some of the folks from the drop zone, and just caught up. And that's part of the camaraderie and community of being there. And went home, woke up the next morning, and felt horrible. Like, just not good at all. Definitely had postnasal drip during the night, so my throat was all scratchy and irritated, and just kind of general malaise, kind of chills the whole time, no fever. And that had kind of been the case the day before, but it got better. So I was like, well, I'll go to work, see what happens. Got to work, definitely no better. So I ended up canceling my my clinic for the day, went home, did take a COVID test that was negative, thankfully. And turns out a bunch of people at work had something similar, just kind of an upper respiratory, not specific postnasal drip, just not feeling kind of great thing. And everyone had tested negative for COVID. So came home, kind of went back to bed for a couple hours because I'd been kind of busy and sleep deprived as well. And when I woke up, was feeling great, and I've been fine since. So I'm not sure what that was about, just kind of a random upper respiratory viral illness and
The creeping crud, I think.
creeping crud a little bit. Yeah, not great. So glad that it wasn't anything more serious, and glad to be feeling better. So hopefully we'll get one more day of jumper dumping for the season this Saturday if the weather cooperates. It looks like it might rain, and then we take a little bit of a hiatus for a few weeks. So just because the weather has historically been kind of crap, and there's not a lot of customers. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool.
Well,
Yeah.
glad it wasn't anything serious.
Yeah, nothing serious, but man, I did not feel good on Monday morning. I was not great. Yeah.
Yeah, we're glad you're feeling better. All right. Well, I think now we can talk a little bit about our coffee fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee, I love tea, I love the APG community. Coffee and tea, and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Thank you, Jeff Smith, for our APG Java Jive. This is the segment where we talk about our wonderful financial contributors using the Coffee Fund. And a special shout out this week to those who, in addition to the recurring donators using the Coffee Fund Classic method, we had several that gave us special, very generous donations to help us offset some of the costs of doing the 500 episode. And those people are Alan Carlson, Doran De Silva, Till Opatz, Ludger Humpert, Daniel Seaman, Jen Niffer, Tim Yancey, Mark Anderson, Harris Bergman, Vernon Tryon, Elizabeth Piper, you ever heard of her? And Mazutz Karim. Thank you, all of you, for your extra special donations to help us celebrate the 500. Much appreciated. And the other way to participate in the Coffee Fund is to become a patron of the show via Patreon. And we have a new producer, Rich Perry. So congratulations becoming a patron of the show via Patreon. If you, dear listener, want to help out in a financial way, please learn more about the Coffee Fund by heading over to airlinepilotguide.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did, and we will too.
Very glad.
I think the control room is speaking.
The control room is speaking, and I'm not having a stroke.
I just wanted anyone who was not sure what was happening there to...
Yes, Liz is communicating
insight.
with me, suggesting our director, she's in her director role right now, she is directing me to perhaps consider doing the Plaintail at this point, because we've been talking a lot about the 500, and basically the feedback portion of our show today is going to be more congratulatory feedback regarding the 500th episode. So yeah, I think that'd be a great way to break it up, Liz. So why don't we do this week's installment of the Old Pilot's Plaintail, or Plaintails, and this week's installment is entitled Flying Over Christmas. So take it away, Old Pilot.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales, Flying Over Christmas. Waiting for the arrival of those December flying rosters was always a tense time. Those with big family gatherings, always anxious to ensure they're at home with their loved ones, whilst the more carefree crew with fewer ties might want to be down route somewhere exotic, knowing that a bevy of partygoers would be flying with them. Christmas has always been a time of celebration, even before Christians associated it with the birth of Jesus. In Neolithic times, those who built Stonehenge would wait for the arrival of the midwinter solstice, a few days before our Christmas, when the sun would have originally set between the two uprights of the tallest trilithon at the head of the Sarsen horseshoe, and dropped onto the altar stone, placed across the solstice axis. This would be marked by great feasts, with animals driven hundreds of miles to provide the vast quantities of pork, beef, fermented milk, and cheese they wanted. Much barley beer would be consumed from decorated mugs, much like the 500th APG show. The Romans were also prone to having a good time, with 5 days of feasting, called the Saturnalia, when the normal rules of society were turned around, so that slaves were served at table by their masters and soldiers by their officers, a tradition that survives in some military forces to this very day. The everyday diet would be spiced up with figs, dates, pine nuts, snails, and fattened dormice. Medieval Britain saw a full 12 days of celebration, which reached a crescendo on the 12th night, when presents were exchanged. These celebrations commemorated Christ's birth, and the name Christmas, Christ's Mass, is first recorded in England in 1038. It was a mishmash of traditions that came from the Roman Saturnalia and the midwinter feast of Yule, which included keeping the Yule log burning throughout the season. Houses were decorated with evergreens, and rich food washed down with mulled braggot, an extra strong ale spiced with honey and cinnamon and spiked with brandy. Rough games would be played, the tamest of which was hot cockles, where blindfolded victims had to guess who'd slapped them from behind. If the guess was right, the slapper became the slappee. Many scholars think it's a mistake to claim that our modern Christmas comes directly from pre-Christian paganism, and neither is Christmas a modern creation. Early Christians had an interest in pagan traditions, but there was little attention given to celebrating birthdays, and the Bible has no reference to when Jesus was born. It wasn't until the 4th century that church leaders in Rome embraced the holiday, and partly, as Nisenbaum believed, because people had turned away from thinking of Jesus as a man. Celebrating his birth became a way to remember him starting life as a humble human. It was the Victorians who began many of the traditions we now associate with Christmas. Prince Albert bought the idea of a Christmas tree from his native Germany, and when the royal family began giving gifts on Christmas Day, everyone did. The Victorian period gave birth to Christmas cards, crackers, eating turkey instead of goose, and Christmas pudding. Santa Claus, Father Christmas, St. Nicholas, Kris Kringle, etc. were popularized in the United States, but can be traced back to a 4th century Greek Christian bishop of Myra, now part of Turkey. St. Nicholas was famous for giving gifts to the poor. Father Christmas dates to the 16th century, when, during the reign of Henry VIII, he was depicted as a large man in a green or scarlet robe lined with fur. So if you think it was Coca-Cola's idea, you'd be sadly mistaken. In Europe, he might be known as Sinterklaas, De Kerstman, Belsnickel, or Pierre Noël, to name just a few. With publicists like Clement Clarke Moore, who wrote the poem that became "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," the stories of Charles Dickens, and the cartoons of Thomas Nast, our modern vision of Christmas has as much to do with the promotions of department stores and shopping malls and the popularity of movies like Miracle on 34th Street as anything else. The idea of Santa and his sleigh propelled by flying reindeer probably originates with the aforementioned poem by Clement Moore, but in the past he rode a horse, or in his original Norse and Germanic persona, as the god Thor, was pulled by flying goats. I began this tale by thinking back to the arrival of the Christmas flying roster, but I know of one crew who flew over Christmas with great excitement. At least I believe so. Their names were Frank Borman, James Lovell, and William Anders, the crew of the Apollo 8 space mission. Apollo 8 was the most groundbreaking mission that NASA flew, excepting the first landing on the surface of the moon, of course. It was quite early on that the decision was made to achieve a moon landing with a specialized spacecraft, which gave Apollo 3 primary components. The command module was the tin can on top. Underneath was the service module, providing the command module with propulsion, electrical power, oxygen and water, etc. And finally, a two-part lunar module, which would affect the landing. There would be 3 uncrewed launches of the Saturn rocket into Earth orbit, which would test the launch vehicle and in stages the various modules that would be used. This was due to be followed by 4 crewed missions. Apollo 7, 8 and 9 would conduct tests in various Earth orbits before a crew would be sent to orbit the Moon in Apollo 10. This would be followed in turn by the first attempt at a landing. Then there followed the tragedy of what has now been named Apollo 1, when a fire during a launch pad test killed Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. Flights were delayed by 20 months while NASA addressed the failings that had led to the disaster. Even with a collection of the world's most capable pilots and engineers, things were bound to go a little wrong at times, and when the missions returned, it was a tense time. Apollo 7 launched and was a complete success. There was, however, time to be made up, and when the Apollo 8's lunar module arrived at Kennedy Space Center, it had over 100 significant faults. It was never going to be ready on time, and that was a problem. Following the original 7-step plan was no longer an option, but since the next command and service modules were only 3 months away, it was proposed that the intermediate missions be cancelled and Apollo 8, only the second crewed mission, be sent to orbit the Moon. It was a vital and difficult decision, but almost every senior NASA manager agreed it could be done. Eventually, James Webb, the NASA administrator, agreed. The change of mission required a change of crew and ultimately a swap of spacecraft. When the dust had settled, Frank Borman was the commander, James Lovell, the replacement for Michael Collins, who damaged his back, as command module pilot, and William Anders, the lunar module pilot, even though their lunar module was a boilerplate dummy. The pressure the team were under was immense. Russia had already flown some tortoises in a loop around the Moon. Surely they were now preparing to send cosmonauts on a similar mission, and the Apollo crew had only 16 weeks to prepare for the launch, 2 or 3 months less time than normal. They now had a completely different set of mission objectives, and they were going to be the first to launch on the Saturn V rocket. However, in typical astronaut fashion, they buckled down to make sure their mission was a success. The task ahead of them was substantial. They were going to be the first to attempt to fly a crewed spacecraft out of low Earth orbit, and then the first to navigate outer space to reach another astronomical object, and then insert themselves into orbit around it. By December the 18th, 3 days before launch, testing was completed, particularly on the modifications to cure the pogo oscillations, ruptured fuel lines, and multiple engine failures that had plagued earlier Saturn rockets. The crew wanted to name the spacecraft, but since Gus Grissom had called his Gemini capsule Molly Brown, NASA refused. Had they relented, it would have been called Columbiad, after the name Jules Verne gave his giant cannon in the novel From the Earth to the Moon. On December the 21st, Apollo 8 launched. On reaching Earth orbit, the third stage remained in place to give them the translunar injection burn that would send them out into the void towards their distant target. It was a tense moment. The last time this had been attempted was on an unmanned mission, and the rocket had failed to ignite. 2 hours, 27 minutes, and 22 seconds after launch, they were given go for TLI burn. The engine ignited perfectly, and over the next 5 minutes, they accelerated from 7,600 to 10,800 meters per second, about 24,200 miles an hour. As the Earth fell away behind them, they jettisoned the third stage and swung the command service module around to view their planet. They looked back on the entirety of the Earth, the first humans ever to do so. Many firsts would be achieved by Apollo 8, as this was truly a voyage of discovery. As they became the first to cross the Van Allen radiation belts, they now became human guinea pigs, wearing radiation dosimeters to measure the cumulative radiation that they would receive during their long journey. In the case of navigation failures, Lovell took star shots through a sextant built into the spacecraft, like mariners had centuries before. But apart from short course correction burns, there wasn't much to do except routine checks and to try to sleep. They gave a short TV broadcast and tried to show people of the Earth what their planet looked like, but sadly it was just a bright blob in the window. Then Borman began to feel unwell. He vomited twice and had a bout of diarrhea, which left the spacecraft full of small globules of vomit and feces. They cleaned up as best they could, but it wasn't a long-term problem. We now know that he had suffered from space adaptation syndrome, which affects about a third of all astronauts and is a form of motion sickness. After 55 hours, another invisible first passed them, when they left the influence of Earth's gravity as the Moon's gravitational force became stronger. Then it came time to slow, so that they would reduce the distance they would pass the Moon down to 71.7 miles. Their single engine burned for exactly 11 seconds, and as the Moon began to fill their windows, they contemplated their next burn for lunar orbit insertion, which would occur behind the Moon. With a call of "See you on the other side," they achieved another first as their radio went silent. The crew checked and double-checked every switch, and then 69 hours, 8 minutes and 16 seconds into the mission, they began a 4-minute, 7-second burn that would trap them in the gravitational pull of the Moon. Mission Control waited. If the burn was too short, they would appear early. Too long, and they would be late. Right on time, the radio blackout ended, and they listened as Lovell described the surface beneath them. Grey beach sand, not much contrast, terraced crater walls and the like. The crew had cameras to record the surface for future landings, and by the end of the mission, they had taken over 800 high-definition stills and 700 feet of 16mm cine camera film. When the Apollo spacecraft came out from behind the Moon for the 4th time, the crew got to see their first Earthrise. Anders spotted it first and called to the rest as they scrambled to get a view. He quickly changed to a colour film and then took a stunning photograph, acclaimed by Time magazine as one of its 100 photos of the century. They'd hardly slept for 3 days and were suffering, so Borman ordered everyone to take a turn at sleeping. The cameras were set on automatic, and they took turns to close their eyes. It was Christmas Eve, and they had rounded the Moon for the 9th time, when it came time for another transmission, for the eager audience back on Earth. They each gave their impressions of this desolate place, with Borman describing it as a vast, lonely, forbidding expanse of nothing. talking to a quarter of the world's population, 1,200 journalists who were covering the mission live, with the BBC's coverage alone reaching 54 countries in 15 different languages. They gave their parting message, a Bible reading from the book of Genesis, a controversial decision that would not be allowed on future missions, but it was done with the expectation that it would resonate with as many people as possible, that it wouldn't just be a message for Christians on Christmas Eve.
We are now approaching lunar sunrise, and for all the people back on Earth, the crew of Apollo 8 has a message that we would like to send to you. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness.
And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together under one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called the seas. And God saw that it was good. And from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good earth.
Their work done, it was time to return home. This involved another burn started behind the moon out of contact with Capcom. When telemetry restarted, as they emerged from the far side, Lovell announced that there really was a Santa Claus, to which Ken Mattingly replied that they were the best ones to know. It was Christmas Day, and they were on their way home. They opened their food locker to find that Dick Slayton had included a real turkey dinner with stuffing, the same pack that was given to the troops in Vietnam, and 3 miniature bottles of brandy, which Borman immediately ordered would remain unopened until after they'd landed. Their recovery back to Earth was textbook, and apart from 45 minutes upside down in the Pacific Ocean while suffering from a 10-foot swell, uneventful. The success of this mission that had leapfrogged the Apollo program back into the race for the moon was unrivaled, and has been confidently described as the most historically significant of all the Apollo missions. So as you tuck into your Christmas turkey, spare a thought for those brave Americans who ate theirs so far from home. Merry Christmas, everybody.
And Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
What an amazing thing that must have been, to be the very first humans to effectively leave the surrounds of our planet and go out to, such a vast distance, and then look back on the Earth, and the first time ever to see the world, as only they could see it. And no wonder so many of them came back deeply affected by the experience.
I mean, how could you not be so deeply affected by that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's just amazing.
Yeah, I love the story of Apollo. I'm not an expert. I hope I got it right. I know there are some people who know all the ins and outs, but for me, it was just a lovely little voyage of discovery because I didn't know a lot about the Apollo 8 mission. I didn't understand its significance. I certainly do now. Brilliant.
Yeah. That gave me goosebumps.
I love the mission patch. I think the mission patch is for the Apollo 8
absolutely brilliant. Whoever designed that was fantastic.
I believe it was Jim Lovell in the back of a T-38 when they were doing a transit flight from they're going to Houston. I forget where from. I read the book. It's called Rocket Men, and it's a really interesting book that details not only the Apollo 8 mission but the careers of all three astronauts, Anders, Lovell, and Borman. And it intertwines the early years of their military careers and their involvement with NASA with the Apollo mission itself. And it does such a great job with telling the story not linearly, but going back to the early days. So it's brilliantly written. And the just the patch, just the simplicity of it, and how the 8 is incorporated into it, and the orbit around the moon, around the Earth is just brilliant. I love it. And then we all know Frank Borman. He went on to lead Eastern Airlines.
Wow.
On down the road. So just very brilliant man.
Something I didn't mention, but they were basically told that they believed their mission might only have a 50% chance of success. And considering it came back with a measure of success around 98%, you've just got to take your hat off to those guys and all the people that put them there. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of risk with uncertain reward.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. I love it. And lovely Christmas story. So let me tell that one.
The Earthrise is it's an iconic picture of one of the most iconic pictures ever taken.
I think so. Wow. I think so. Not about top 100 for me. It's just one of the most unbelievable achievements of mankind.
Oh,
yeah.
And I don't know really how you could possibly top that, except maybe this congratulatory feedback from Ginkie Farkenwithle.
Hi, y'all. This is Ginkie Farkenwithle from Petula, Oklahoma. I fly the right seat for Okie Air, and we're flying over Atoka, Oklahoma right now. It's beautiful out there. Look at those blue skies and white clouds. I want to congratulate you guys on 500 shows. That's amazing. That's over 1,500 hours of content. Or if you include the pre- and post-show shenanigans, that's over 1 million hours. I want to thank you guys. Yep. I'm hoisting a bottle of ice-cold chocolate Yoo-hoo in your honor right now. You are truly appreciated.
That's good stuff. Thank you.
Ice-cold chocolate Yoo-hoo.
That takes me back to 7th grade or something. Yeah.
I love Yoo-hoo. Thank you, Ginkie, also known as Texas Charlie. Thank you very much, sir, for that. Let's see. We received this from Vernon, and he gave us he was one of our special financial contributors. I've been planning for years to be there with you to celebrate APG 500, but alas, my wife is having surgery next week, and we won't be going any place soon. At any rate, I just sent in a small donation to help you buy a few beers and have as much fun as you can without me, which will be a lot, I'm sure. Enjoy the gathering and blessings to you all, Vernon. Retired.
I hope that all went well, Vernon.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Please send us some more feedback and tell us everything was okay.
Yeah, and he did send us a couple of pictures in this feedback. There you go. There's Vernon and his lovely wife, and they're holding up something that I believe you had something to do with, Nick.
Well, yeah, that's my scribble on the bottom there.
Yeah, I thought I recognized that.
That was a lovely meetup we managed to effect. They come across to the United Kingdom, visited friends, and they were down south, and I could get down and purely on the off chance they let me know. And we met up in a lovely pub, the Bluebell pub, I think. And we sat down and had a pint of beer. And I noticed that I think they were placemats or something. They had a promotion for a local beer called Gustav, which was named after an amazing pigeon who had won the Dickens medal in the United Kingdom for bravery of animals. And it had brought back the first news of the successful landings on the beaches on D-Day. And that led me to, think of doing the plain tale about carrier pigeons, which I always enjoyed. I think it was a fantastic plain tale. I really liked that one. And dear Vernon and Ruth hung on to that and took it home and framed it beautifully. So great memory for me, and obviously a nice one for him too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Vernon, for your contribution. Sorry that we didn't see you in Atlanta, but completely understand. You have priorities in your life, and I hope that your wife is recovering well.
Indeed.
All right. Hang on. APG 343, the fearless what? Flying Columbia, Domestica, something or other. Okay, yeah. Well,
yeah, carrier pigeon.
Colombo Olivia Domestica. Yeah, I don't know.
Liz.
Well, thank you, Liz, for digging that up. 343. Just go to 343, do a search on the APG, airlinepilotguy.com page, and you'll see it. All right, thank you. Dave Willis sent this in. He said, I have a question for the crew. What's your favorite memory of the last 500 shows? Thanks for a great show and for connecting so many like-minded people with each other. Steph, what's your favorite memory of the last 500?
Two. They're not really shows per se, but
yeah.
I'd say the first is the time that you and Rick and I all met in person together for the first time up at the Innovation in Flight.
Yeah.
Innovation in Flight, is that what it's called? Yeah, at Udvarhazy.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
that was a lot of fun.
Not too much longer later, episode 200. Just not much will top all
That's
of that.
my same too. My same too right there. It was the same too. And at episode 200, I remember when, just before that, when we snuck Nick in across the pond without telling Jeff, and we were trying so hard to make sure Jeff would be in Miami.
And we were doing like a terrible job of it too.
I know. It's like, okay, I told you I'll be there. Would you quit nagging me?
Man,
the weirdest thing though was that Rick was so he picked me up from the airport. This is back in 2016, I think, 15. January 2016.
No, 16,
it was 2016. Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, "Hey Jeff, are you hungry?" And I said no, and he goes, "Okay," and then he pulls into this rib joint. And I'm thinking, did you?
I'm just gonna get a small snack.
Did you not hear what I said? I'm not hungry. He goes, "Yeah, I am. I'm gonna have some ribs." Okay. Something's weird going on here. I don't know.
We were stalling because I wasn't arriving for like 3 more hours or something crazy.
I had to figure something out. I had to think on my feet here.
Yeah, he was definitely not acting normal. That's for sure. Yeah, but that was fun. Anyway.
I love it.
Anyway, yeah. Good. Okay, what about you, Nick? What's your favorite memory of the last one?
My abiding memory is us on our road trip up towards Oshkosh and visiting the United States Air Force Museum at Dayton.
Yes.
We had a great bunch of people with me, and it was a museum I had heard about, and I had talked about some of the exhibits there in so many plain tales. To actually stand in that vast place and look at those fantastic historic aircraft, for me was just, it transported me into so much of aviation history. I found it incredibly moving and, really inspiring. and it really was the most wonderful day. I really enjoyed that. That was fantastic.
And for me, we covered several of my favorite memories during our favorite video clips and stuff for the 500th episode. Steph's first time on the show, Rick's first time on the show, the 200th episode, and honestly, that road trip that we did, Nick, was just awesome. I'll never forget, even just the two of us just driving in my car, heading up I-75, and just having a great old time. Stopping at several different places for something to eat, and stopping at the Big Ass Fan Company and meeting up with Greg Peterson in real life for the first time and getting a nice tour. I think it was the first time. Maybe we met before that. But anyway, and then that great time in Dayton. Just too many memories, really, to just, whittle it down to one or two. It's just been a great run, and it's just the beginning. We're going to continue to create new memories, and I look forward to that.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. Let me go back over here, and we have some audio feedback from Sweden, I believe.
Well, hello there, APG crew. This is Gustav from Sweden calling in to say thank you and congratulations on 500 episodes. I started listening back in the 200s about 5 or 6 years ago. And I have such a strong memory of the first time I put the show on. And I thought that this cannot be true. It simply cannot be true that people are actually talking about airplanes for 3 hours. It cannot be true. Who are these people? They must be insane.
Also true.
And I remember that I fast-forwarded about half an episode just to ensure that there wasn't all commercials or something like that. But then I realized that not only were you people very sane, you were also very smart and very funny. And I'm so grateful for everything you do. Life, as you all know, can be up and down. But no matter what, for these 5 or 6 years, you've always been there. My constant companion in my ears. And I'm so grateful for it. And I hope that I will have another 500 episodes at least to listen to in the future. And I really hope that you enjoy the celebrations wherever you are. Just please don't remember not to fly an airplane too early tomorrow morning. Anywho, take care and have a good day.
Oh, Gustav, you're making me tear up. And I just want to say to you, Med Vanliga Helsningar.
Nailed it.
Perfect.
Nailed
it. Yeah, you cracked it. Yeah.
I have no idea what that means, but he signed off in his feedback to us. Oh, it's something rude. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Hey, that's your old neighborhood. You should know about all that stuff.
No, that's Denmark and Norway, not Sweden. I don't know, Swedish people. Just kidding. Gustav, really so nice to hear from you, and it just kind of highlights the fact that our community is not just here in the U.S. or the U.K. It's all over the world, and that's just so humbling. And so happy to hear that you enjoyed listening to a show where we talk about aviation for 3 hours. I know early on, my wife asked me, my ex-wife, I guess, so are you still doing that podcast thing? I said, yeah. She goes, so let me get this straight. You talk about aviation for 3 hours every week, and people listen to that. I said, yeah. And then she just rolled her eyes and walked away.
So
yeah.
And the rest is history. Thanks, Liz. I should have seen the writing on the wall. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steph.
Well, no, while you were talking about all of that, I was actually doing a quick Google Translate for the sign off that Gustav. Yeah. So it's very important. You must put the diacritics and the umlauts over the A's in there. If you don't, it says something like "with great necklines." That's not what that means at all. But once you put in the correct all the correct
emphasis.
Yeah, it just says sincerely.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Gustav.
With great necklines. But,
with great necklines to you, Gustav.
Yeah, and tell them, Douglas, great necklines.
I'll have to remember that for the sign-off today. All right. Well, anyway, as I said, you made me tear up a little bit there. Thank you. Speaking of tearing
my
up,
trousers are wet.
Oh, sorry, with regular necklines.
with regular, not great, regular necklines. Yes. Okay. Jen Niffer. She is the blogger, Tales from the Terminal. Is that right? Tales from the Terminal?
Yep.
Yeah,
and she is also an amazing APG community member for like as long as I can remember. She said, Jeff and crew, sending best wishes for the 500th episode. Congratulations. I sent a coffee fund donation to help with the celebration expenses. Have a beer on me. Thank you, Jen. I think I had a couple, actually.
Me too.
Yep.
Good
And the
job.
rest of us. Yeah.
Yep. In fact, Steph and I enjoyed a celebration ale. So that, who knows? Maybe that was from your nice contribution. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Okay, Liz says these next 5 that we're going to do, they sent these things in while we were doing the 500th episode broadcast. So obviously we weren't. Yeah, she said, Liz is saying, plan ahead next time, guys. Okay. Let's see. This is David Lieb, and he says, just trying to sneak in some quick feedback. Too late. It's just under 3 minutes. 11th hour, I know. I meant to send this yesterday. Hope I make it into the show. Regardless, congrats on 500. Well, David, you didn't make it into the 500th, but you did make it into the 501. And so we're going to play your audio feedback now.
Greetings, APG crew. Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, Miami Rick, Dr. Steph, and of course the wonderful Miss Liz. This is David Lieb coming at you guys from the greater Boston, Massachusetts area. And I just want to say congratulations on 500 episodes. I am so excited for today's APG 500. Yes, today is the day. I really hope this feedback makes it in here at the literally 11th hour. And I am wanting to share some other feedback in response to something from a previous episode, but that's a bit of a long story, so I will send that in separately for a future episode. So, just stopping by real quick, let you guys know I really wish I could have been there in Atlanta today, but unfortunately my schedule did not permit that, but that's a good thing. Been very busy with the music stuff, a myriad of shows, gigs, and recording sessions, projects, and yeah, Jeff, since I saw you back in April, things have been really, really busy, and that is a good thing. But I did fall a little behind on APG, and I had to quickly catch up the last several weeks, and finally I'm up to 499 and going to finish that just in time to be in the live chat for 500. So, got my APG 500 shirt, got my APG 500 pint glass that will be filled with a delicious beverage, likely involving the letters India, Papa, Alpha, and that's it. I can't wait for today's show. And if this did not make it into today's show, then I just want to say, hey, that was a great show. It was the best APG ever. And I can't believe we're past 500. Seriously, I've been a listener since 312. This is my first feedback. That's over 3.5 years. Been listening to APG. And shame on me for not sending stuff like this in sooner, but that will change. All right, everyone. Have a great show. Blue skies, tailwinds, many IPAs or beverage of your choice. And I'll see y'all soon.
I've met up with David in Memphis, Tennessee, and in Providence, Rhode Island, and maybe more places. But anyways, he's a great guy, and thank you, David. And he's also a longtime patron of our show, so thank you for that as well.
Oh, excellent.
And sorry that you didn't make it into the 500th episode, but this is kind of 500 part 2, I think. So, yeah, 500.5. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the very nice audio feedback. And let's continue on with this. Oh, Gary sent this in, and it's not audio feedback. Many congratulations on your 500th episode, Gary Cunahan. And he sent that from his iPad. Thank you, Gary.
I like
point to tell us that.
Sure. I thought that was important. He included
other people who send them from their iPads.
I like it when they've changed it slightly and it says iPad iTypo or iPhone iTypo or something along those lines. That's always cute too. Anyway.
Well, I mean, obviously he thought it was important to include that in the feedback.
and it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
It added an extra dimension to your congratulations.
Gravitas
Thank you,
to the message.
You should change it to EFB now.
Gravitas. Yes, that's what we have. Shut up, Liz. All right. Blaster Bill, who lived in Los Angeles for many, many years, apparently is now living in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, and he flies for an airline in America, and you might even call it American Airlines. Congratulations on podcast number 500. I only joined around 220 or so, but what an incredible run. I'm amazed you all have the time to construct such an entertaining podcast for so many listeners and fans.
That's a joke.
Your dedication and stamina to produce so many podcasts is very admirable. Yes, it is. Enjoy your event at the Atlanta Airport Renaissance Concourse, and I'll be drinking a pint in your honor. Cheers, Blaster Bill, now living in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. He's a 737 captain. Thank you, Blaster.
Thank you.
More audio feedback. This is from someone that you've heard, dear listener, many, many times in the past, and he calls himself, on the APG, he calls himself Pasadena Brian. And let's hear what he has to say.
Hi, Captain Jeff and crew. This is Pasadena Brian, wishing you a great 500th show. Although I'm a few episodes behind, I've been listening to the show and providing occasional feedback since the Catholic pilot days. So does that mean I have CP syndrome along with APG syndrome? I don't know. Regardless, there's just not a cure.
No.
As a quick aside, I'm so far behind listening to your show, currently on 491. Our main man Micah had to tell me when the 500th show celebration was going to be. Therefore, with his help, I'm able to wish you all the best. It really has been great flying along with you all these years and listening to the show grow, not only in content, but also with great co-hosts. Having worked with the Airplane Geeks podcast for many years, I know all about the work involved in making a weekly podcast. It's a tremendous amount of work, and your 3-hour plus show certainly involves a lot of time. Thank goodness I'm able to listen to you guys at 2x speed, except for the plain tales. Those I listen to at normal speed so I can enjoy every spoken word from Captain Nick. Nick, your segments are truly remarkable. Anyway, I wish I was there and able to partake in the festivities with you guys. However, COVID has most certainly restricted my travel plans these past few years. I'm doing my part to stay safe as often as I can. Hopefully things will improve. Until then, have a great show, say hello to everyone for me, and remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, stay socially distant whenever possible, and get vaccinated. It really is the best way to help us get back into flying. Before I go, I wanted to wish a personal thank you to each and every one of you. Liz, thank you for putting up with these pilots and helping making the show as good as it is. Dr. Steph, thank you so much for all that you've done for me and my mom. We both really appreciate it. Captain Rick, although we have never met, I feel like I know you, and thank you so much for all of your technical knowledge and valuable input you add to the show. Captain Dana, it's sad not to hear your voice, but for the occasional bit of feedback. I really do miss the banter between you and Captain Nick. Oh, and Captain Nick, thank you all for your stories. I think the entire community is grateful for all that you do and share on a weekly basis. Also, I'm really sorry I wasn't able to help you with your balls. Sorry to hear you had to sell them. And Captain Jeff, I guess the last one's to you. Thank you so much for starting the podcast so many years ago and for providing such great entertainment to the entire community along the way. What you have built is remarkable, and I really look forward to the next 500 episodes. Until then, fly safely. This is Pasadena Brian. Hope to see you all soon.
Thank you, Brian Coleman, Pasadena Brian, for your well wishes for our 500th episode.
And if you want a pair of Captain Nick's balls, they're only $50 a pair.
What a bargain!
That's just 50? Wow.
Yeah. Well, I only had 2 pairs, so. By the way, I saw.
I think
Brian
you only have one pair.
I saw him on the PT UK Christmas podcast the other day, pre-recorded. So it was lovely to see him, chat to him again. It was super.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And our final one for the show, I know we were hoping to make it a little bit shorter. Sorry, Kaya. But we're just about finished here. This is the last piece of feedback from Landon. And he said, suggestion, can you please ask Jeff to have the first thing for episode 500 be the American version of the Enhanced Ground Proximity Warning System, or EGPWS, call out of 500? He will know what I mean.
Ooh.
And we didn't get that in time to do that, Landon. It's a great idea, bad timing. But when you go 500 or something, that sounds like that. So that would have been great, but yeah, too late. Too much, too little, too late. Anyway, that's it. So thank you so much, everyone who reached out and sent us in audio and non-audio congratulatory feedback. We do appreciate it. All the people that supported the show financially. And, I should probably share this. Somebody said that this would be an apropos picture for this episode. Let's see here.
I see my better half is multitasking.
Yes.
I identify with that completely, Kai. It's totally fine. We won't say anything.
Screen. Here we go.
Ah, yes.
There we go.
Oh, wait, bring it back. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Oh, shoot.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
How the hell did we do? Where was that?
Yeah, Liz has this. Who took this picture? Did you, Liz? David Abbey went shopping with Nick for jeans in New York. Is that right, Nick?
So perfect.
I don't know.
Levi's 501.
Yeah, Levi's 501. That's
the drunken haze whenever I'm with David Abbey.
Is that the waist size or?
Hey,
wow.
It's an American waist size, not mine.
Everything's bigger.
Yeah, must be a Texas waist size.
Nice recall to.
Yeah.
Keep that picture, David. Brilliant.
Yeah, 501. That's my favorite.
Well, there you go. That's the show.
There's your artwork done. We don't even have to.
That's it.
There
Brilliant.
You go. Done.
Easy
Perfect.
peasy.
Yeah.
Send me a full res picture, will you, David? That's perfect.
Yeah. That was
you
from
got to
Liz.
put antlers on yourself and a red nose, though.
Yeah, probably.
You mean my nose isn't red enough there? I've got somebody's head sticking out of the top of my skull, but...
one of those cowboys.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I could put a cowboy hat on. Would that help?
Yeah. Anyway, so it's time now for us to wrap up this show. We'll get back to a normal type of show, hopefully next week, and have more of your.
Is there ever such a thing?
Well, no, not really. But anyway, really enjoyed this one as well, and thank you everybody for hanging out with us, especially our live audience and our live chat rooms. We do really appreciate that and appreciate you. And without you, we wouldn't be doing this. So, thank you. And let's see. I guess we should talk about our website, airlinepilotguy.com, where you can find out a bunch of stuff, like about the crew and the community and more stuff, like merchandise and
all sorts of stuff.
All sorts of
podcast stuff.
Yeah, you know what? There's so much stuff there, I can't even think of it all. So just head over there and look at it. There you go. There's an example of our front page there with all the different things we have.
With all the different stuff.
All the different things and stuff.
We like stuff.
Yeah, we do. Stuff's good. And we are also on social media, or what I like to call the social meds.
Indeed. You can head over to Twitter. Nope. I was trying to see which one she was going to do. All right. I usually start with Twitter. I don't know why. It's just I think where most people. I don't know. Yeah, I know. Twitter. We're on that app. We're on that platform. We are at APG Crew, and our individual Twitter handles are pinned to the top of that page. So find us there. We're also on Facebook. Facebook.com/airlinepilotguy is where you can find us. If you want to send us feedback, you can do that to our email address, feedback@airlinepilotguy.com. And I've been really bad about putting Nick's artwork up on Instagram, but we're there. We're APG Crew. I'm a slacker. If you want to be a slacker, you should check out our Slack page.
You could be a slacker too.
Hillel will tell you about that.
Yeah. Let's see. Hillel is here in the cabin again. Wait. Hang on. Hey, Hillel! Hillel, do you have time for Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
That's okay. Just don't get it all over the equipment over here. Electronic equipment, that is.
Backpedal.
Yeah, don't get it on my equipment either. Okay. Tell us about Slack, please.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you, Hillel. Now you can head back to the bathroom, which is just right over there. So thank you very much for all the help.
Fire in the hole!
Thank you.
How far away did you say it was?
Just right over. Okay, sorry about that. And with that, it's time for us now to end this week's show and wish you regular necklines. God bless.
I would normally sign off with my normal cheers y'all here, but I just want to warn Jeff that Carlos has landed in Georgia, so just be careful.
Okay.
Cheers, y'all.
Thanks.
And I guess I'll leave you guys having a good time up there. I'll resume my normal operation here in Ontario. But I'll see you next time. Happy to have been here again.
Bye, everybody. I think.
Resume normal ops. Resume normal ops. Oh, sorry, Liz.
There's Liz.
Say it again.
Bye, everybody.
There you go.
That was so nice.
I'll fix it in post.
No, you won't.
Well, maybe. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Mike Kuiper is another great show. He's the mayor of APG. He's going to bed. Good night.
Don't blame him. Good night, Mike.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm not far behind you.
Oh, man. That was fun. Here, I'm going to stop the recording. Unless I should keep it recording and as we discuss ideas for show titles, or are we okay?
I think we got the artwork.
We're just going to call it the 501 with Nick on
the 501.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to turn off the
501
recording. All right. Here we go.
Can I get hold of that picture? Where is it?
I have that picture. I was the one that sent it, and I think I captured it. I don't know. I keep those pictures around for various reasons and stuff. It's awesome.
I worry about
blackmail.
But I think it's Dave Abbey. I think it was you and Dave Abbey shopping in New York. I think it was his picture. I believe. I don't know.
Maybe we can talk to Dave if you're listening or watching.
Where does it currently reside?
Where does he currently reside?
The original one?
The picture. Where can I find it?
Oh.
Well,
maybe Dave has it.
I had it. And I was the one that sent it to Jeff, but I don't know where the original is.
I saw it on the FBI's 10 most wanted.
Yeah.
Go FBI.gov.
Will you please send me the best res copy?
That's the highest resolution on the FBI
I have the
website.
only copy. That's the only copy I have. Sorry. But I'll talk to Dave and see. I'll send Dave a message and ask him.
If I know Dave, he's probably already, trashed that, deleted it. Whatever you do to make sure you never see it again.
That is definitely me down route because I've got my beige wind cheater on.
Here, let's look at that again.
Let's see. I want to see you. I want to. He'll sell you the rights for a very reasonable rate.
There you go, my beige wind cheater. It looks like I'm just about to challenge him to a game of fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Put him up.
Yeah, if you point that camera at me one more time.
Was he
you're
trying
dead.
to steal your Levi's? You're like, no, back off. They're mine. I saw him first. And turn off that camera.
Oh, dear. That's he hanging on to it all this time just for the 500 verse show.
I think Liz was, actually.
I was. No, I was.
Yeah.
Liz, you're amazing.
It was in my stash of APG
She's
photos.
just that organized.
I know.
Which is why I will never be a producer of anything. Because
It's a sickness, I think.
I'm like,
it is a sickness.
what day is it? Where am I? Who are you people? Somebody help me.
Hey, Steph, do you remember us?
No.
No. Well,
No.
we're glad that you stumbled upon us again tonight.
It's happy accidents. All right, Rick's got to get to sleep, it looks like.
All right.
He's, fading fast.
All right, so everybody, we're going to sign off.
And
Thank
this-
you so much.
Thanks,
Yes,
everybody.
Yeah,
Good
we'll
night,
see
everybody.
you. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Yep.